Yes.
We're live.
One of these is.
All right, Supervisor, so we're gonna use the plot today? We're using the what? The plot. So we're gonna use AI today. Alrighty. Here we go. Okay. All right. All right, so I have turned on the plot and the time is now 9:36 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting of the Venetian Community Development District 2 order. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2026. The first item on the agenda is the call to order / roll call. Those supervisors that are present are Joe Pizarnik, Cheryl Serrana, and Rich Goodman. On the phone, we do have Supervisor Ken Smaha with us. Supervisors, at this time, we would need a motion to allow Ken to participate and vote via phone.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Jill, second by Rich. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Thank you. On behalf of District Management, we have myself, Belinda Blandon, and we do have Field Manager Keith Livermore present with us. We do have audience members present. Do we have anybody present from Hampton?
No, he won't be able to come till a bit later,
Okay,
but he
perfect.
may dial.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand for the flag.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public comment portion of the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, we will limit public comments to 3 minutes per person. Just for the record, for the audience members, we do ask audience members to please refrain from personal attacks during public comments. And we are going to move forward with our first speaker, that is Tim Carr. Mr. Carr?
There's no bike.
Good morning. Few items I'd like to talk about. I know you'll be addressing probably some proposals today. Have those proposals been negotiated? Every time we renegotiate the contract, we save a lot of money. I know you're looking to fulfill and backfill the fitness classes. You probably can fill that by negotiating one contract. All right, when can we expect a permanent replacement for the general manager? Are we still paying that salary to Hampton even though nobody's here? They come in and out periodically and they're hard to find when you want to discuss anything with them. I know you did some tree pruning along Veneto and some other roads. However, there's still trees below the 15-foot mark. Does anybody follow up for fulfillment of contractual obligations? If so, who is that? July 4th was a great turnout at the pool, even though the actual event was canceled. However, we had no pool monitor. We had people with coolers, outside beverages, including alcoholic beverages, people in the pool with their beverages. I don't understand why we didn't have a pool monitor, and that cost us a lot of money. Will anybody ever go around and take orders at tables and chairs? We're losing a lot of sales because nobody goes around and actually takes orders from people that are sitting along the chairs and tables. Sometimes it takes 20 minutes just to get your check, and that's unacceptable. That's why people leave without signing their checks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
I have Santa Maria comments. Santa Maria, who's keeping an eye on the ponds? I have a resident complain to me that there's a floating island of grass that migrates from one side of the pond to the other, depending on wind direction. Is anybody visiting the ponds on a regular basis? Is Mr. Smaha getting updates, photographic evidence of what's going on? Is the contractor being held to their contractual obligation? If so, who is holding them to that obligation? When can we expect the balance of the sidewalk and gutter repairs to Santa Maria? So far, a control joint has been cut in front of my house on a 20-year-old sidewalk that had no issues. 15 feet away, there's a hole in the sidewalk, not addressed. And we have a priority list. Cutting a control joint versus repairing a hole in the sidewalk doesn't make sense at all. The ornamental grasses behind Balanza and Treviso. When will they be addressed? So far, one person showed up behind my house only, did a horrendous job and left all the debris there. There is much more to do than asking this over and over again. Who oversees this? Who follows up to make sure the contractor does their job? Because it appears that nobody does. I'd like to know who that person is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Maggie LaPierre.
There. So I'm at 117 Mass Street Place, and last month at this meeting, I actually asked if we could have some kind of fire assessment on the CDD property on Mass Street Drive, Mass Street Place, and I didn't get any response, and I don't know if I get a response here today, but I specifically asked for a fire assessment for all of the dead wood that is stacked and fallen and behind my home and behind a lot of homes on Master Place, the farther down you go, the worse it gets. To me, this looks like a fire risk, and I would like to know, are we gonna be able to, do we just have to sit there and watch it just accrue, because it's accruing? Or is there a way out of this problem? Some kind of debris clean out? There's so much dead wood behind my house from all the storms. Mr. Livermore was at my house a few years ago when I moved in. I called because I was like, holy smokes, that was before all these storms. And now it's only piled up more. Is there a resolve, or should I go to the fire department myself? That's, I guess, a question. Should I go to the fire marshal myself and say, can you come and do a risk assessment? We're concerned. I spoke last time about Stony Brook, that neighborhood where they had big fire, and how they had to evacuate homes. So many people on my street are disabled. So they're not just gonna pick up their car keys and run out the door. We have equipment to move and stuff to do to get somebody out of the house. So do we have a result? Do I just speak and wait someday for an answer, or can somebody answer me now about my concern?
Well, generally, these meetings aren't dialogues, we can't, because
Right,
we would, but, we have a field manager, I assume you've talked to him, and I don't know whether behind you is a preserve or a wetland,
it
but,
is.
so that's Ken. What's that?
If it's a preserve, that's part of the issue.
Yeah.
I have a preserve behind my house, same thing. Every storm, another tree falls
You
but
can't
there's not
touch
much
it.
you can do, you can't touch it. So, Keith, I can follow up out of landscape since most of it is
Okay.
preserve. I will follow up with
Okay.
Keith and I will get back to you.
Thanks.
It's more than a landscape issue. I mean, it
No, I'm just saying I'll take the lead for the board and I will follow up with Keith.
Because it is a big concern. I'm glad to see a little bit of rainfall, but there's so much back there to burn.
Okay.
Thank you. Who do I ask to?
If that's exceptional, we should look
If
at
they
it.
followed up with the fire marshal,
It's not gonna be the fire marshal, it'll be Swiftmud.
would be who?
Swiftmud.
A water district,
Okay. I appreciate it.
okay.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Darlene Schimberg.
Morning, everybody. I just have really one thing that, you're going out on Citadella, that big pile of debris of wood from the golf course, that they're using that as a storage. I mean, that is a real fire hazard for us, I feel. I mean, it's very dried out. We haven't had that much rain and, the sun pelting down on it all the time. I think that they have to be a little bit more aggressive in cleaning up their messes because they're not.
Ken, Darlene's referring to the debris yard that borders Laurel. Do you want me to talk to Jay?
Either way, I can talk to him.
Okay.
They accumulate it there and then they eventually truck it out. But
They're not eventually
It's
tossing
continuing to build
anything out,
up.
it's
I'll
just bigger.
mention to him that there's a concern about being fire hazard.
Okay, great.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is, as far as landscaping is concerned, we spend an awful lot of money on landscaping for this community, and for the most part, I think that it's been, with this weather, looking pretty well, except for the fact that when we do plant things that do have a warranty, who follows up on that? Because I see a lot of things dying and just dying, and nobody does anything about it, and then by the time we do address it, it's too late. And they say the warranty's out. Well, is it their responsibility? Is it our responsibility? Whose responsibility is it? Because I don't want to keep on continuing to put in plants if nobody's going to be following up to make sure there's enough water and what they're doing. And also, when they prune the plants, I think they should take a little bit of care as to what they're doing. I mean, it's just like taking a hacksaw and not really taking, into account exactly what they're pruning and how they're pruning it. I mean, again, we spend a lot of money, and I appreciate everything that Cheryl's committee does because they do a lot of work trying to figure out what would be good for areas, and I don't think we get the same return as far as it being taken care of. Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene.
Okay. All right, there being no further speakers signed in, we're gonna close out public comment and move forward with our agenda. Okay, so we're gonna move into committee reports, Landscaping Advisory Committee.
Yes, for landscape, a couple of things. One, we are continuing to work on the cul-de-sacs we've done plant replacements 1 or 2 times, continue to do irrigation reviews, and we're now trimming the hedges a little bit at a time to get them more to scale. The fountain is being remarmited in the front, and once that's done, because there were cracks in the base, the fountain will go back on. The flower rotation is coming up, and so at the next landscape committee meeting, we will come up with a recommendation on which flowers to use and if they will be terraced. The landscape plan was included in the agenda. We will have a discussion about that, and the landscape committee continues to review that. And we have been working with Juniper on the maintenance issues and on the letter of deficiency that was sent, and I would turn over the rest of my time to the Juniper crew who is here to respond to the deficiency notice. So turn it over to you guys. Anthony, I don't know who's taking the lead.
Deficiency notice and landscape report.
Yeah, and so if you guys, what the request was that you guys respond at today's meeting to the deficiency, what's been done, what will continue to be done in the future.
Yes, a little while ago, I did get the notice and the notification of the issues going on in the community. During that time, Keith gave me a little one-on-one, a little powwow meeting, basically to let me know that the issues, you guys pretty much set up the inspection report. It's just following up and making sure that the issues are being addressed. As mentioned by the lady back here, the warranty issue right now on the boulevard, we're already addressing the warranty issue out on the boulevard, out on the cul-de-sacs as well. And then I do believe you mentioned the Medici berm, the end cap. I'm taking full on and taking it with stride. So we'll get that resolved. I'll send you the scheduled dates as well. But it's basically just follow up and making sure that the areas are addressed. During that time frame, we did put down fresh fertilizer, and we did have a rain event during that week. So the weeds started attacking us, and it was noted on the inspection. All we can do is just combat it, make sure that we bring in more guys, make sure that we address more items, and just follow through with it. So pretty much, we do apologize for what happened. I'm here right now in front of you guys. We're addressing the items. This new inspection report, less than 20 items came out. So as you can see, we're addressing, following up, and making sure that anything irrigation, weeds, replacement, we follow up with Keith and also with Cheryl as well. So thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, I just, one question. So we did go from 86 to like 18 items on the inspection report. My question is, what changes have you made to your crews, to what your reviews are? That I don't want to do this every other month and say, okay, we're back to 86. What are we going to do now?
No,
So tell me what you've changed overall.
in the beginning
Hold
of
on a
the,
second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are recording this meeting and we are using AI technology which picks up conversations. If you are gonna have a sidebar conversation, we ask that you please step out of the room. We are also broadcasting this via YouTube. We ask that you please hold off on sidebar conversations throughout the duration of the meeting. Go ahead, Sharon.
Thank you. So anyway, tell me what you've done overall to how you're maintaining the community, so we don't have to go through this again.
in the beginning of the week, I do basically a drive-through of all, the front entrance, clubhouse area, the boulevard, the cul-de-sacs as well, just to get a general idea of where the weeds are coming, where to maneuver the crews. It's basically being more active on site with the crews, making sure that they're, like I mentioned, just following through with them. If they say they sprayed an area, 2-3 days, I follow through and check the area out, make sure that the weeds are dead, the weeds are pulled, or however you see it on the inspection report. But it's mostly just following up and just maneuvering the guys a little bit differently, putting a little bit more aggression on the weed spraying and the weed pulling. And just like I said, he's learning a little bit more English with thanks to the inspection report. So thank you for that.
I'd like to add something here. We've also added 2 production managers to the team. So now there's 2 full-time supervisors with the pruning teams when they come in. We have the 8 pruning crews. And so with Sergio, there's now 2 more production managers with that team. So I just want to add that also, oversight with follow-up and there's some quality control.
Because my feeling about this process is that inspection report should be 0. We should not need that person to come in anymore. Because part of your contract was that you're supposed to go through and do what that is. So we're paying $12,000 or whatever it is a year to get that, to keep you to do your job. That's should not have to happen. So that, you're the landscape people, you should be handling it. We should not have to have somebody doing, going to see what your deficiencies are, to then come to you, to have to write a deficiency letter to get you to do your job. The other thing is, I know Cheryl said she addressed it, but I just want to reiterate, a lot of the plantings that we're getting from you are tiny, minuscule. I mean, you're taking a 2-gallon pot on Monday, putting into a 5-gallon pot on Tuesday, and then giving us, and then on Wednesday, we're paying for a 5-gallon plant, but it's really a 2-gallon size plant. Because, Exora is that tall in circles, shameful. I know things grow in Florida, but if you're gonna give me a plant this size, I wanna pay for a plant this size, not pay for a plant this size in a pot that big. So you need to make sure that doesn't happen.
We do come across that where because we're not growing it, right? So we're purchasing from all over the state, right? Multiple states. With some of the storms we've had and some of the weather, the cool weather, we had a lot of nurseries got hit hard. The demand for the plants are very high, so they are coming in smaller. Now, if we notice something that's stepped up too early, we will reject it. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We don't want to give you a plant that's just been stepped up and pay for that. But I will say, the plant demand around the state is very high right now. We have a lot of freeze damage. Trees from the storms got wiped out, big nurseries. So the plant material is coming in smaller around the whole state. It's not just us. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're not trying to step anybody up on plants and get rid of about for them before we get rid of that. So okay, we'll definitely keep an eye on this.
So I think what you're hearing, and actually before I go on, would you 2 both state your names for the AI so that we know who's talking here?
Sergio Rojas.
Anthony Scapitaro, the operations manager for us.
Thank you.
I did want to talk about the responses to the report because typically we ask that you take the report itself and respond on the report. The way that, I know, Sergio, you're doing your best and you're sending us a separate email. It's very difficult because the board has to take the report and compare to what your response is. What we do normally have within other districts is that the landscaping vendor takes the report and adds the notes on the report so that the board does not have to have 2 different sources of information to compare to. It's not very difficult to edit a PDF. So I would ask that going forward, you utilize this format so that the district board does not have to have 2 separate sources of information. I think it's easier so that they can review just one report with one source of information, and we can keep that as the record, and then you can attach whatever proposals are requested. I think it'll make your life easier also, rather than you having to type a complete separate email. It'll make things far easier for the board when reviewing the report. So if you could please make it a point going forward to just submit one report as a response. the same report that we send to you, just edit, make your notes just, a different color, whether you wanna do it red, it doesn't matter. Just underneath each point, responding so that this is what your response is, and we can keep it as a record.
Understood.
I wouldn't make it red only because that's what we look for bad things.
Green,
Make it
green.
very green, yeah, so,
Yeah,
Green for
yeah, we
landscape.
like green, we want landscape to be green.
yeah. But ideally, what we're looking for, to reiterate what Rich said, is we don't want to keep paying somebody extra to come in and look at what needs to be done. We would prefer that you guys issue a report at the end of the month that says, these are the things we still need to do, because that is actually contractually what we believe is the process, so.
Absolutely, and we could have, someone outside of the community within us, like an outsource, outside eyes, come in and do that report for you.
That would be
So it's,
great. I mean, if we can save some money,
Well,
that is a good
absolutely.
thing,
We'll
but we
start
need
doing
to,
that. We have-
again, we don't want a roller coaster.
We have those with like the photos, we have like multiple report systems that we use, so that's
Okay.
one thing we can absolutely do.
Okay,
And we realize things, things pop up, things happen, but acknowledge it and say, look, we realize this is there, we're gonna take care of it, we're working on it, we're just, as opposed to just letting things go and then getting to 6 weeks, 60, 90 days, and it's just not addressed and just keeps on showing the report month after month after month after month.
Understood. We'll start getting those out monthly, and, like the format, we'll continue with it.
thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Ken, did you have any questions?
Oh, you might be on mute. You on mute?
No, sorry.
Good. And Sergio, I know you've been doing a lot of work. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you for
it.
responding.
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
here.
Yeah.
It's always busy in Venetian.
Yeah.
CDD, always a little busy.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate all you coming.
All right. Next committee report would be racket sports.
Oh, yeah, do you have anything else? We chatted during the workshop.
Yeah, we chatted during the
Anything else you'd like to
workshop.
throw in?
Do you want me to give a 90-second update or not?
For the record, sure.
For the record, sure. My name is Mark Fayford. I'm the chairperson of the Racket Sports. Quick update on the tennis courts. Conditions are very good right now, even though we have a drought going on. Big shout out to the two maintenance guys, Jim and Rick, doing a fantastic job. Right now, we're digging trenches around all the 6 courts. This is all part of the hurricane plan, because so the clay and the water can accumulate there. We received a very reasonable bid to replace the center anchors on all 6 courts. These are the original ones there. They're probably there 22 years, and some of the nets are just kind of hanging. Also, we're going to replace some damaged irrigation boxes on court 6, and in-house, they may do some repairs on the other irrigation boxes. The pickleball, you may see a new 9-foot tilted umbrella with a concrete base that's been installed over last month. Also, if you've been to the new Northeast Venice Park, beautiful park, we installed shamelessly because they have a beautiful paddle holder there. And I got in touch with the architect, and Matt ordered new ones, so it's set up down by the pickleball courts. And the folks there are real happy with it. There's been a concern that Matt's not doing enough clinics, tournaments, and events. He's been quite busy between tennis and pickleball and other issues. So they'll start up again in October of this year. And we're looking at installing a sunshade by the pickleball courts. Don't want to put it on the fence because of the strong winds. Don't want to pull down the fence. So we're looking for an engineer to help us out and set up a separate pole for that. Matt, the rackets director, has contacted all the captains for the known teams for this coming fall and winter season. So basically outlining which teams and what days we'll be playing and coordinating with the 3 different leagues that we participate in. We talked earlier about the summer reciprocal program. It's not in our rules, our current River Club rules. So it's an operating procedure, and Matt is dealing with that very effectively. That's pretty much it, other than we have a golf cart that's limping along. It's like, how old it is? It's about 10 years old. They had some parts replaced, and these parts are irreplaceable now. So it's limping along, and will need a new golf cart in the near future.
That's in the reserve study, Ken, isn't it? Or is it?
Yes,
Yeah, it is.
it is.
Yes.
It is, but it wasn't until, well, we can need a golf cart sooner than what's in the reserve study.
Ooh, okay.
I just have
That's fine.
just one comment about the reciprocal.
Yep.
I just want to make sure, because I don't know how you verify it, that there really is a reciprocal going on and it's not a claim of reciprocal and we're getting everybody playing here because they like our course or
Yeah.
versus. And I don't know how you do that.
There are schedules put out by it's not a captain, as they call it the volunteer facilitator. And they put out a roster, who's playing on what courts. So we do see it and we see what clubs they're from.
No, but do we know, do we know what's
Yes.
going on?
Yes, we know we're playing, they're playing at Plantation and
Okay,
they're playing
all right.
at Venice Golf and Country.
Okay, just want to make sure, I just want to make sure that we're,
I'm positive of that.
It's legit.
okay.
Any questions?
No, thank you for everything.
Thanks.
Reserve and finance?
Are you doing anything?
No, I think Ken's doing
Oh, Ken's doing it, okay.
No.
Whoa, this was visual.
You received,
Yes, we got Mark's report.
Mark's report. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things, and you also got Byron's financial comparatives. But in addition to that, a couple of topics we talked about, because I wanted to get their input. One was on fitness fees. And while the majority felt that fitness fees, instituting fitness fees probably was appropriate, they also recognized that the classes themselves, free classes, have been ingrained in the community and understand that that's the case. But they also realize that the whole program needs to be better managed in terms of how many participants there are in the classes before a class is canceled and we don't pay the instructor, you know, and how we improve and upgrade a lot of the style of classes that we have, many of them being out of date, and a lot of the things that Cindy has brought up. So they just wanted you to be aware of how they felt about it, but also realize that it's probably just something that it's grandfathered at this point. We also talked about the La Sala project and a couple of concerns. One, they raised the prospect of could the project be phased in such a way that we meet the goals of the project without going into the full project. As I have also talked about a kind of a plan B of going so far and seeing how it works, and if it's needed more, we can phase it out, extending further out into the grassy area. They're also concerned that we don't shut down completely during construction in order to maintain some operational income during that period and service to the community. And that's about it.
Okay. Thanks, that's helpful. All righty. Moving right along.
Any questions for Ken?
Mhm.
All right, so we're gonna move into staff reports. Landscape inspection services, we don't have anybody here for landscape inspection services. Rick is not here, so we'll move forward until he gets here. We don't have district council here. We don't have anybody from Hampton. Keith is outside.
Meeting adjourned?
On my, I've been working on the mailed notices, they're pretty much done. We have been working on the advertisements, those are pretty much done as well. So those should be going out shortly. I'm pretty sure that there will be some confusion. Will there be some sort of a notification sent out as we discussed?
Like a newsletter type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we did talk about that. I had shared with the board the last time we did sort of like a 3 or 4 page explanation of what's in the assessment stuff. I think probably between Cheryl and me, we'll definitely want to do something, but typically we're doing that after the approval of we have a final adopted budget. I think is typically what we've done.
I think we send something out before the mail notices go out, because the confusion starts when they receive the legal notice. Because people typically receive the legal notice and think it's a new assessment.
We only did that for hurricane though. I think typically in the past, what we've done is after the final assessment, it was always in the August newsletter. But we did send a notice out when we were doing the hurricane assessments.
So people understood.
So people understood. Well, what do you all think? Should we do it
I think,
earlier?
I think the more information people have, the better it is.
Okay.
And at the same time, speaking of that, we also told people we're gonna send out the survey results, which we never have.
Yeah, they're posted on the website. It's my fault. It's been a little busy. So, yeah, it's going.
So maybe we do a combined, make it I don't know.
I don't know that we need to do anything with survey results except say they're posted.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
website,
yeah,
and
I
here's how to
just-
get to them,
Okay,
and then an update on what's going on with budget.
I would let people know. I think it's important that people understand what the process is.
Well, is it worth do we want to do something short? Or do we want to do an explanation? Because the full-on Monty, all singing, all dancing explanation was always after the adopted budget. So,
See, and I guess I'm a little torn here because if we change the budget, the explanation may not be the same.
that's right.
So
That's why we always waited.
because there's no assessment, I think waiting is okay.
That's fine.
That's my opinion.
That's
No
fine.
special adjustment.
And on the survey results, if you want to send me a link, we can post the link on.
Oh, great, okay, yeah, it got done and then it just got pushed down the pile, so, I will get that done. Link to survey.
You do have a meeting scheduled for July 27th, which is typically the
Yes.
workshop. Are you going to hold the workshop on the 27th?
Yes, we will, we'll start at 9:30, we won't start at 8:30, we'll just start at 9:30. Yes, and we will send you agenda items, because at least as we discussed at our last, or maybe a couple meetings ago, that we would want to, since Cindy will be back, we wanted to talk more fully about the fitness fee question that was raised. So we had talked about putting on that agenda. I think actually I sent you an email
Okay.
about, adding it on to that, but that's Cindy's call, but that's what I recall we discussed.
Okay.
Dan is coming though, right? Dan Lewis is coming?
He should be
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Rick, I see Rick walking in now.
Okay, all right.
We're running a little bit ahead of schedule,
Yay.
so Dan should be
Ooh.
walking in right after.
Yeah, we're trying to get everything wrapped up by 11 with the architect coming, so.
The field manager's back.
Okay. Keith, did you have anything to report?
Just a little bit on that one pump in out there by the pump house that we pump out of our well into the big pond for irrigation. I had one estimate come in from a company out of Fort Myers, and it's just like what we said, about $89,000 to redo that whole system there. The golf course, Jay also had some people come in and give him an estimate. I'll see what, they were gone last week, of course. So Jay should be back today. I'll see what I had two other companies come out and take a look, and the words out of their mouth each time they walked up, they went, "Oh, you could put the," and so I haven't received their bids yet, but Jay also has a bid for that as well. So we'll put those all together and then present them to you. And remember that anything we do up there is a 50-50 split with the golf course.
What's the lifespan of that? I mean, are we kind of at the end of that?
We're at the tail end. I mean, it's 20 years, I think, is what that pipe was.
And that's the thing that
plus
comes
20
out of the
years.
ground.
Well, it comes out of the ground and goes, and it's in a
Right.
well, it's in one of our wells that we, pump into the main pond.
Right,
It's not reclaimed water from the city. It's
right,
not that pipe. It's the one in the well.
okay.
So, I don't know if any of you have been up there and taken a look at that thing, but, yeah, it's gotten worse over the last, that's why I raised the issue, a couple weeks ago. And I think I've said it before, but at some point, and we're at that point.
And didn't we have a leak? Wasn't that part
We
of
fixed we had the leak fixed, and it was a valve, and so that's been fixed by that company that we had the $89,000 quote from. They came out and fixed that, but we're still leaking water at the casing down below. And it's all rusted out and fallen into the well.
How long, once it gets approved, how long to turn it around?
Great question. I'm not sure. It shouldn't be a great deal of time, probably a couple weeks.
They have the proper equipment developed? I mean, it's,
Well, we won't turn everything off until they have everything.
And then it's a 2-week shutdown.
It should be a 2-week, it'll be and they, each one of them, I'm told this has to be something that has to happen quickly. We can't go, pull the whole
that's what I'm
floor.
saying, that's what I'm saying. If we, at the next board meeting, August, whatever, we agreed to do it, how long before they can get the equipment?
I'll have that answer for you then.
Is this a reserve item? Ken?
Ken?
Yes,
Is it fully, is there enough money?
yes.
And this has nothing to do with the well thing over by,
10?
Green and Hole 10, yeah.
No. That's another, pump that has to be taken out of the ground. The people that we use for our actual pump,
Right.
they want to take that out of the ground and put it on top so that we don't have to dig anymore. To get to that, we're gonna have to borrow the golf course's backhoe and dig all that out. And it's an artesian well. All right, so we've got to dig it all, and so they have to have everything ready, and they want to put it on top of the ground so we don't have to dig it out anymore, saving, that expense as well. But they want to do it.
Do we need to do that at the same time?
We could, yes, but it's not, that well's not imperative. That's not an imperative well to keep, the irrigation going.
Okay,
This big one is.
okay,
Right.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Rick, do you have anything to report?
Yes, I do.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning.
I wanted to
Welcome back.
report that I stayed away from haggis.
That's why you're still here.
And I did not try the black pudding. I stayed away from that too. But I had a
Quite
great
things.
time. It was a lot of fun. The sidewalk grinding is completed. I see that that vendor come back and they squared up
Yeah,
the
they look much
areas,
better.
so they, yeah.
Thank you.
The photos that I saw look good. They did give a price for $600 for that new speed bump at the visitors side at the entrance. You're okay with that? Because I could schedule that right away then.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay.
That's a yes, yeah.
Okay, and then the signage, I'm expecting the vendor to start this week for replacing those signs that were deficient.
Okay.
And that's all I had.
Actually, somebody had made a mention that like this on Santa Maria, there's still where you cut they cut the sidewalk, but next to it, there's still a hole in the concrete.
I think that's on Balanza.
On Balanza, so I mean, there's still some issues floating around. And have we gotten to the gutters yet? I know we were looking at repairing some of those gutters. So
I know we had replaced a lot that was on my list. I know there was a lot that were basically cosmetic cracks that what I was focusing on was trip hazards. And so that's more toward the mailboxes are, where the driveways are. I didn't really look much.
Well, this whole thing was started because I sent an email out starting this whole thing about Portofino. And not one house on Portofino was touched.
Okay.
There's nothing on Portofino, not one crack in Portofino. I mean, it's like from 220 to 260. I mean, obviously 220 to 180, something like that. In front of every driveway mailbox, there's some deep, that missing. So it's not a little, the surface rough.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to compare what my list, because I know after I got that, I did go out to look. There were like 2 or 3 big areas.
Yeah, I didn't see anything, maybe they ever, I can't believe anything ever repaired, because I don't see anything that looks like it was repaired, so I'm just.
On a lot of those, what I had them do was just kind of notch out the loose stuff and then to patch
Yeah,
it.
fill it in.
I know it wasn't gonna look good, but the option was to tear out that whole curb, and that's, if it's next to pavers and you're getting into pavers,
Yeah, that's-
asphalt.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's basically for cosmetics, so, but if it's a trip, then I.
Yeah, if you could look at those again, because like I said, I have not seen anything there, Rick. I could be mistaken.
Okay.
But I know some of them were in the middle, by mailboxes and driveways, and I just don't want anybody tripping.
Do you know about where on?
On Balanza, is it 110? Is it in front of your house?
Yeah, you cut a control joint in my sidewalk, but you left a hole in the sidewalk next door.
Okay.
So right around 110.
On a 20-year-old sidewalk with no deviations.
Okay.
You know, if you're gonna be out, on Portofino, there's, it's close to the corner of Vicenza on the south side of the street. The gutter's okay, but it looks like the macadam is starting to erode, and you can see it because water collects in there either when it rains. So I don't know whether that's something we just deal with when the time comes that we repave, but it looks like it could be starting to cause like an undermining issue. So if you're gonna be in the neighborhood, I figured take a
Yeah,
peek.
sometimes.
It's right around 170.
Okay. The standard construction for the inlets, they put them in first, then they build the road. And they typically build the sub base and the base, and then they come back and they pave later on.
Right.
So there's a hole in the inlet to drain at the sub base elevation.
I see.
At the base of the elevation. Sometimes they don't do a good job patching them, sometimes they don't patch them at all.
Then you end up with.
And then you start losing material, and that's your typical dip right in front of the inlets. I know there's one up here on Benito, as you exit out, there's one little spot, and I'm trying to watch that, but I believe that's probably what.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know whether it's a big deal or not, but I thought, oh, it looks like it's starting to, so, okay, thank you.
Catch it early.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, glad you survived.
Oh, the temperature, it was so nice over
Was it
there.
heaven,
And
huh?
then get off the airplane and come back to this to 98
Yes.
degrees. We were over
It's
at
like being in a
55 to 65, and had one day it went to 78, and they were complaining.
Welcome back.
Okay,
Thanks, Rick.
okay, thanks.
Before we move into the business items, do we want to just take care of the quick items in business administration and consent items?
Dan is here. Hey,
Hey,
hey, Dan.
I just don't wanna. since
Why are
you
you
were
over there?
I had
Come into the hot seat.
one thing, I wanted to just, since we have everybody and this is the only time we can talk. Good morning, Dan.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I didn't wanna get in the way of everybody since.
No, hopefully the traffic wasn't too bad.
Not at all,
For
not
the
at all.
record.
While you're here, I wanted to suggest to the other supervisors, I think we might want to consider having a shade session for the litigation.
Okay,
How do you all feel about that? I feel like there's a couple things we should.
well, do we have for settlement purposes?
Oh, well,
Well, there was some, I don't know, well, you and I, is it time for a shade session?
What would be the purpose, I think, is, that'd be my question.
Because we can only have shade purposes for limited reasons.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
that, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically for settlement purposes, if it's, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's.
I didn't know that.
It's very limited,
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I learned something new every day.
well, I spoke to Andy, so, and I don't want to do it, and I don't want to do it here, but
Say as little as you can.
I think I have a resolution to that, so.
So we each can talk to Andy independently, but that's,
Okay,
Yeah,
just can go.
my update quick before was, the case is currently in, discovery phase.
yes. Oh, I thought we'd just get together and update each other. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we can't.
Never mind.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Andy and our special
Okay,
litigation counsel.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right, well, that was easy.
Should I just go into my report?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Quick update on, I think, Jill, I think you already know this, there was issues with the Swift mud permits. And I believe David Jackson in my office got that rectified. We're just keeping an eye on it, but as far as I know, the permit has been moved entirely over to the CDD. So that should, I'm cautiously optimistic that's all over. You can receive, I sent out the legislative updates. Good news is that sovereign liability limits didn't go up this year, at least this year. Let's see what happens next year. And they did enact into law the CDD referendum process. I detailed out in the memo, it's just basically, you have to get a petition, you have to actually have a full-on votes. If you want me to walk through the whole step-by-step process of it, you can either read the memo or just talk to me afterwards.
Yeah.
Just so that's the law, that there's a referendum process, whereas before July 1, it was you either resign yourself or the governor kicks you off. There's now a petition process.
Got it.
It's more similar to how the municipalities do it.
Right.
Sangoma is, as far as I can see,
Thank you.
is over.
Yeah.
I've got an acknowledgement of cancellation.
Yeah, that's the phone system.
So that should, September 15th is
Yeah.
the last day.
Yeah.
That's it for my updates, unless you have any questions for me.
Ken? I guess not. You muted.
No,
Okay.
Could have Dan call that one in.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure you wanted to get on Route 75. Okay. Oh, moving right along.
So do we want to just jump into the quick items, which are the business administration and consent items?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's jump into item number 7A, which is a consideration of the minutes of the Board of Supervisors meeting held on June 8th, 2026. These are behind tab number 4 for your review. There is one correction that was called out by
Yes.
Roger.
Yes.
We will make that correction, which was to
Okay.
change community association
Right.
to the bench being donated by Roger F.
Yes. Thank you for that. I'll let him know that we took care of that.
Yeah, I did not understand that either at the time.
I did not either. I thought it was the community
That's-
association.
yeah.
That's how I picked it up, but
Yeah, well, anyway.
So we're.
No, he donated it himself.
Yeah, we really,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's what it, yeah, we really need to
I
thank
think
you.
actually that's the way I heard it, but I didn't notice it in the minutes because I hadn't read it yet,
kinda-
so
I
anyway.
kind of grasped that it was.
And it's out there, so.
No, which is
Yeah,
great.
no, that's great. It's really nice of him to do that.
No, it's especially especially, for the record, just in case anybody's listening or whatever, Roger had donated a bench. We thought was
Yeah.
was for the community association, but it's from Roger Efron himself.
Personally.
Personally. So thank you, Roger, very much for that.
Yes, thank you,
We truly
Roger.
appreciate it, and sorry for the mistake.
Okay, we're gonna fix the minutes. I'll email him officially. Thank you, Belinda.
any further
Would
changes?
you like a motion?
We need a motion to approve, subject to changes as noted on the
I
record.
make the motion.
Second?
Motion by Rich, second by Jill. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
aye,
Thank you. We now have the ratification of the operations and maintenance expenditures for the month of May 2026. These are behind tab number 5 for your review. Are there any questions?
Nope.
There are no questions. We've been looking for a motion to ratify.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Jill, second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
aye,
Thank you. We now have consent items. There are 2 consent items that are being presented for your acceptance. The Facilities Advisory Committee meeting minutes of May 5th and Racket Sports Advisory Committee meeting minutes of May 11th. Any questions?
No.
there are no questions, we'd be looking for a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Jill. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Thank you. All right, moving back into business items, are there any items that were discussed during the workshop that we're not gonna cover today?
Yes, so, so 6B on the charters, we're gonna defer it to the next meeting, but did you have a question?
No, defer to the next meeting, and in the meantime, the board liaison should be taking the charters to their committees for the committee's review.
Okay, and then we've already
Hang on a
talked
second,
about.
Jill. So the liaisons are gonna take this back to each committee for review?
And then we'll come back at the first meeting in August for any revisions and a vote.
So back on the agenda.
Yeah, the first meeting in August. Excuse me.
August 10th, I think.
First meeting.
Sounds right.
August 10th.
August 10th
Mhm.
for review.
We handled 6C, so that's done.
Okay, so 6C. Anything else?
Yeah, 6D, let's defer that to August 10. I don't know if we'll have time at the workshop that we do on the 27th, but I think it's good to put it on the agenda for the 10th of August.
Okay.
And then Cheryl, 6G.
6G, we do have a new plan from the architect for the entryway all the way down to the River Club. There are still some items that are outstanding. I do have pricing, but it needs further negotiation. And the landscape committee will review it again next week on Monday, because there are some things we need to discuss, including right after the entrance gate, there are two small sections where there are magnolias and lots of plantings, and they look very nice. So we think we should take that out of the landscape revision plan, because there's no reason to change them. Landscape committee has already recommended that. And so, but there are some other issues we need to look at as well. So we will, that is for review. Would like anyone's comments on, thoughts about the plan so far, and landscape committee will continue to review it and bring it back again.
So we're deferring this?
Yeah, unless committee has unless the supervisors have any comments on what was sent out.
So this will be August 10th as well?
So we only, I think, have 3 things left, right? A, E, and F. And E, the architect isn't here yet, so it's really A and F. We can handle the next one.
So we can move into item number 6A, which is the discussion and consideration of the 4th addendum to the Allied Universal Contract. This is behind tab number 1 for your review.
And this is based on the change to the,
Correct.
sorry, that was a very incomplete sentence.
We know what you meant.
Based on a change to the car roving during 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Correct.
Thank you.
I have a question though, a Ken question, Ken. Did we, so it says it's effective October 1.
I thought we were making it effective immediately.
I thought we were.
Yes, we said we would.
Okay.
I don't know if
Should
Andy
we
just
vote?
missed that or what.
Do we need to vote on that? Okay.
You do need to vote on it, and
Yeah.
you can change it.
So
Yeah,
then,
that's why
okay,
it's on the agenda now, is to vote to put it into effect immediately.
and then, we'll just have, improved cost this year, and then the 390, 440, 466, 48 will be the budget number for the
Yes.
26-7 budget.
Correct.
Okay, so, so just for the record, what does that end up saving us? I guess that's how much a month?
Is it about 50,000, it's about 50,000 a year,
I
isn't
thought
it?
it was 40 something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's more than that.
it was more, but we changed it to include the Sundays. Remember we made.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought
Because
they
I thought it was
I-
85,000.
I thought they were paying like $450 to Universal right now, to Allied. It's like $450 a year? Isn't it,
Almost 500.
is it that much? I don't think, this is $390, it can't be $110,000 just to get rid of that one shift.
No,
No, but, well, anyway, so it's gonna save us some money,
Yes.
between now and October 1st. So then we need a motion, and so can you restate for me, Keith, or Ken, whoever, just for the record, what it changes Sunday to no rover between what hours?
I thought on Sunday it's just, go ahead, Ken.
It adds back one shift on Sunday.
Right. Beginning at 10 PM, right, or something like that? 8 PM,
Yeah.
10 PM, something like that? Okay. So then, when I'm making the motion, is it include, or whoever's gonna make the motion, do you wanna make the motion?
Well, I would make the motion that we accept the Allied Universal amended contract to agree with Exhibit A, or their proposal for $390,466.48, effective as soon as possible.
Okay.
Is the 20th all right with the board? I got to give them a little bit of time to,
Yeah.
on,
Effective
As soon as,
7/20.
as soon as it could be implemented.
Effective 7/20/26, okay. Oh, a second?
second,
Second by Cheryl.
Yeah, and then we discuss, right?
Second, then you can discuss.
Yeah, I think Andy just needs to change the date of this.
We would, since the date is on the Allied Universal, we probably have to would you want a updated proposal from Allied, just so that it has that date on it, but
So that's the only thing that changes, is it goes to 7/13/26.
yeah, and we just,
Can't we just scrag it through?
if it was ours, yeah, so we would just go back and change it,
Oh,
but it's
I
on
see, we
their,
can't,
yeah,
okay.
because it's, the start date's on their
I got
document.
so I do have a question.
Yeah.
During discussion, because, this is a huge change, because if you look at the monthly amount now, it's, like 42, and this saying the monthly amount is 32.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a lot of money for one shift.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Is
saying.
this, I just want to make sure, I love this number, I'm good with it, but are we sure it's right?
It's $85,000 difference.
well, you got the personnel plus to the car too, that you're not paying for.
It's disproportional.
Well, this is a great savings, I think this is greater than what we included in the budget, is my other comment, so I think we need to go back and take a look at the budget on this issue.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yepper?
then I'm good.
Yep, good.
Yeah, I don't think so. We can check it.
Okay, I don't remember it being 6 figures, okay,
But if it's lower, that's fine.
yeah.
But
I think it is, and I like it.
I think it's not as low as what we put in the budget, because we're adding back a shift.
I still think it's lower.
This is lower than what I
That's my gut,
recall,
that's my
so
gut, yeah.
I just want to check it, it's fine, I'm fine with this, but I would just like to check it.
I don't think we took the vehicle into consideration with the reduction.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please state aye.
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 Again, just to reiterate on the record, based on the board's request, they want to start as soon as possible, so we'll have to go back to Allied for an updated proposal to that effect, as opposed to the October 1st date.
Keith, you reached out to Justin?
Who's doing kitchen equipment?
I was hoping so.
You might as well do that now.
Absolutely.
Okay, kitchen equipment, all right, so there's a lot of moving pieces to the kitchen equipment. We still have the two vendors, Don and DEI. Don is what Greg gave us, and even after he told us that was a Hamptons approved vendor, and Hampton pricing, we still got the $15,000 reduction off of Don. I just pick up the phone and saying, what's the best and final? Problem is, we're still trying to coordinate is getting that work done with, like, all the vendors, is to make sure that there's removal of equipment, disposal of equipment, setting up the new equipment, getting the gas lines in, calibrating equipment, and making sure it's turnkey. So before we do all of that, and then we want to do a final negotiation, we're just asking the board to go ahead and approve the budget, but the proposals are coming in about lower hundreds. We want this, if the board can approve $110,000 not to exceed, we can then go back to both those vendors, best and final, with all-inclusive services. We're leaning right now toward DEI, but we want to make sure that happens. So if we, so I make a motion that that the board approves $110,000 not to exceed on the kitchen equipment.
Second.
Okay, just one discussion
Well-
item. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
Well, I guess I'm confused. The kitchen quotes that were sent out, the latest update, maybe everything wasn't included in it, but I thought the Dawn was at $90,832.
Everything was not, that's the point, everything's not included. We, they're bringing the equipment outside, but they're not disposing of it. So somebody's got to get rid of it. They did not do the gas hookup. So we need to make sure that happens. We need to make sure that the vendor comes back out and makes sure that the electrical hookups and configurations that we have here are adequate. So before we have everybody come in and do, the final, we want to make sure that this is approved so we're not wasting their times, and then we can negotiate the final number when they're here based upon. So Don is missing things, and that's why I said not to exceed 110, but Don is missing items.
Well, there's an amount for gas connection, there's an amount for remove and disposal equipment in the Dawn quote.
No, it's not.
That's why I thought this came
It's
back
highlighted yellow.
with those adjustments.
Nope. That's what we need to go back and have further discussions with Don. And that's what we're leaning, and Don's been a little difficult trying to get those answers, which is why we don't want to keep on going back and forth until we know this is approved, because it's very time consuming.
Well, and maybe I'll just add here for Ken's color, and because I talked to Tim about this a little bit last week, and talking to Jamie Selby. He's, as you can imagine, constantly purchasing things for the club, and he, let me put it this way, I'm trying to be careful what I say. He has been reluctant to use Dawn because of lack of clarity on some of exactly these types of issues, is maybe what I will say. So Jamie does not, in fact, use Dawn for that type of reason, so.
Then I wonder where,
Well, I don't know, but
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
he was gonna
Okay.
talk to Ashley Lauderson, who's the,
okay,
and that's probably all I'm gonna say on that one, but,
because DEI.
I think that the devil is gonna be in the details on this piece of it.
Which is why.
So I don't have a problem with the 110, and I wanted to mention too, John Coleman from Stonegate said he would be very interested in taking some of this equipment. So I don't know whether that either complicates or simplifies the situation, but, and he wasn't kidding either, so.
I don't know, but we can.
Well, it's either take it all or don't take it.
Okay, well, there you go, and yeah, I'll tell him.
Because we still need to have somebody come and dispose of it, so, and it's gotta get disconnected,
Yeah.
and then put outside, and then to have a truck come and take a few pieces, and then we have to
Yeah.
wait for them to come
But it's
pick
a
it
whole
up.
big
and-
hoo-ha. Look, I don't
Yeah.
disagree, I'm just sharing with you what John told me when he was
Okay.
here, so.
Oh, so,
I don't have a problem approving, with a not to exceed, and I'm sure you guys will keep us up to date.
Yeah.
And I know Tim's gonna get the best price,
Oh,
because he always
yes.
does. so.
that's what we do, that's, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, So you made a motion,
Okay.
Cheryl, second?
Mhm.
Okay. We discussed that?
Do we have to vote?
Are we gonna have a vote?
Oh, sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry.
Melinda's leaving it up to AI.
All right. All right,
It hasn't
so
put you out of business yet, Belinda.
motion by Rich, second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Now, just the flip side of all of this, which I've been trying to get Bill, Hannah, Jamie, whatever, everybody involved. So the ceiling tiles in the kitchen also have issues, they need to be replaced, that it's falling, the lights need to be replaced in there. Then when we had a vendor come in and look, not only is that, they looked up into the drop ceiling, the air handlers in the ceiling of the kitchen are corroding and need to be replaced. We got a quote from the person who's done the work here. Bill Colgan said he didn't like that vendor. So we were gonna get somebody else, but we've never heard about anybody else coming in. So we need to determine if we're going to do the duct work, which we have to get the HVAC. So we heard that they replaced the HVAC vendor, so we don't know what that is on facilities. So that's gotta somebody's gotta come give us a quote on that. If they want a replacement or a secondary quote on replacing the ceiling, we need a quote on that. Because the ceiling tile, the duct work, and the kitchen equipment should all happen simultaneously. It's gonna take probably 2 days minimum. 2 days is tight, so 3 days realistically, just for the kitchen equipment, out, in, cleaning, whatever. So might as well do the ceiling tile and the duct work, close it down for a week or whatever it is, maybe have chef do some grilling outside for the tiki bar for a week.
Right.
You can still have the bars open, and this way get everything done internally here. And if the food is closed at the same time, the dining room can technically be closed, so Jim can come through the club and do top shifts or whatever without anything happening, and carpets cleaned if need be. I don't know what needs to be done, but I've been trying to get somebody to make a commitment to that, and with roving general managers, nobody's
Well,
making
but
a
the kitchen
decision.
equipment's kind of the determining factor. So a question I would ask is, do either of you guys have a sense of what kind of lead time we're talking about? Is it months?
7 weeks.
I think it's 4 to 6 weeks complete.
Okay, so
And-
we would be looking in like late August or even
Yeah,
September,
yeah.
but
Which is good if it's late August to
Yeah.
get that done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the ceiling, and we have a quote of about $20,000 for the ceiling. It was about 20,000, Tim, for the ceiling?
Yeah, I think it was a little less actually.
And then the duct work. So we haven't done anything differently because we were supposed to be getting, Bill said he was gonna get different quotes, but
have you talked to Jim?
Jim wasn't at the meeting, wasn't at the facilities
Okay.
meeting, so.
Okay.
So you have a month to get those quotes before the August 10th meeting so that we can approve them, so you can do it all at the same time.
Well, the question is, do you
Hampton
want-
has the list of everything we need quotes on.
Okay.
yeah, the question, so we don't know who's leading the charge. Because,
Well,
we started, we did it, and then when Hampton told us we don't like the person, but Hampton then didn't follow through. So just give directions
well,
as to which way you want to go.
because I'm the Hampton liaison, then I'll take responsibility for herding cats on this. I have no problem, and I can talk to Tim. So,
Please do. And also,
Okay.
and also when you're herding cats, the other big issue is the roof report is
Yeah.
MIA.
I
Yeah,
think it's
thought we were
sitting
getting
in,
that.
I think it's sitting in Bill Colgan's Hampton email.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll
But
find out.
I've been trying to track it down for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Because when Bill Colgan left on that Monday, he said it should be coming on Tuesday. Well,
Right.
that'll be 2 weeks.
I'll find
That'll
out.
be 2 weeks tomorrow.
I'll find
And I've
out.
been reaching out to everybody, just asking, hey guys, I'm just trying to get this wrapped up.
Okay.
Because if there is an issue, we may not want to replace the ceiling in the kitchen if there is an issue with the roof, because we may want to get the roof done first and just bite the bullet
We
later
need
down
the
the road.
roof, we need the roof report, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I will take responsibility for chasing that one down. I mean, Jamie, they do have a plan for, how things are getting managed in here. And
No, I get
people
that.
are here, most days of the week from Hampton, but I will take
Yeah, but there's
responsibility
nobody-
on.
but there's nobody
I'll
making,
and I'll chase
Yeah.
down, again, since I'm the liaison,
Yeah,
I'll chase down the roof report.
Yeah, because like I said,
And
if the roof is gonna get replaced,
I
let's say,
agree
let's,
with you on a shutdown plan, because we could even fully shut down for a week, like how we've done it in the past, and I think before you came, is that
no, we were shut down.
if they had to do some pool work.
No, we were shut
Yeah.
down last year when we did the paving. The club was shut down.
That's
and-
true,
and work was
okay, you're
done.
right, that's true.
Um,
And August is a good month.
But like I said, but you know, if the roof is really bad and if the roof report doesn't, it comes back, like, there's an issue.
I'll get
We
on
may,
it.
I'm saying, we may not want to spend $20,000
Let's put this-
replacing the
I'll get an
ceiling
answer.
tile
Exactly.
if,
So hopefully
to
by
get
the
down.
workshop, we'll have the roof report.
I'm
In
gonna,
2 weeks, we'll have all of this information so we
I
can
want
get
to
it
have it by the end of the day.
done.
That's me, Sagittarius. Okay, good. Okay, so, how are we gonna take a break?
All right, so I think we've
Yeah.
covered most of our items. Do we want to take a break?
Yeah,
Yes,
then
can I
I'll,
ask one quick question? And I apologize, I should have done this when we talked about the universal, Allied Universal, but on page 8, no, I'm sorry, page 10, there is this human trafficking affidavit.
oh, yeah,
What, okay, help me.
Sure.
Whose is that? Where does it belong?
It's
Um,
requirement.
It's a requirement by the state. We do it in all contracts. It's if a private third party is contracting with a government entity for services, they have to swear on an affidavit that their labor is not being
Okay.
used, is not for coerced force, or they're in any way involved with, human trafficking. There's actually another one that just came in that I'm now starting to roll out as well. It's only IT though, so, but it's almost plug and play it's called Nations of Concern, that they're just kind of laid out. It's basically the same thing. They have to swear in an affidavit that they're not a nation of concern. And I'm actually putting that in a new contract I'm drafting up for the client today. So
sounds like
they have to do it. We have to do it.
Yeah, I
And-
figured that my problem was I couldn't figure out the affiant and the entity, affiant and the entity were not referred to in the contract, and I was like, who is doing this? Who is doing this? And
So-
you just answered my
Yeah.
question, thank you. Okay.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, I'll go see if John's here.
That's fine, then, right? Okay. Deal.
Yep. All right.
copies, so you
I've got 12 of them, so it could be, yeah.
Here you go, Tim.
Yeah, so,
I think so. I think there's enough in there.
maybe Brandon, let me see how many.
And
you
it's
have.
nothing
See, I
really
got
new,
two
and
here.
it'll also be on the screen, but it's just, yeah, I know. When you see it on the
Okay, it
screen,
shouldn't be different. I can share with them.
and I do have a full-size
Um,
set if we
There's
wanted
an
to look
extra
at it.
here. There we go.
Keep it going.
Thank you.
I'm ready. We're live.
Okay, Jamie, just so you know, we just handed out the, it's just a large format of the floor plan that, we probably have. So,
Okay, so we're back on the record at 11:05 a.m.
yes.
Okay, Jill, so do you want to introduce?
Yes, so let me just do 15 seconds worth. So, just, for the record and for everybody who's here, we've got, John Swidrak now from Costera Design, with us. John and I had a pre-chat with Bob Rufato, last week about how best to use the board's time today. And, John's advice, because he's done this a number of times, is to walk us through the floor plan, as it's currently designed, to answer any questions, concerns, get your suggestions, et cetera. So it'll be a bit freeform, but John wants to be able to leave by the end of the day, knowing that we've moved this a little bit further down the funnel. Would you add anything to that?
That's correct. Kind of review where we've been at, get some feedback. I did get some feedback between our last meeting and today. The next steps are really going to be into the design of what this actually looks like. What's the bar look like? What's the exterior look like? And I have some inspiration images, and I want to bounce that off you guys, make sure we're headed in the right direction. I don't want to go down the wrong path and come back later, say, no, that's not what we were thinking. And anything with the floor plan, like we've had a lot of work put into it. I think we're very close with the floor plan. You just haven't heard a lot of feedback from everybody else. We worked in our work group, and so kind of at this point, we want to make sure everybody's on the same page moving forward.
I didn't know whether there was an email that we got that was discussing the foyer. Should we sort of address that at the end, or?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind walking through the floor plan again, just to kind of recap where we were at, where we're headed towards.
Yeah.
And then kind of hit points. The foyer was something that had never been brought up or discussed.
No.
So it was interesting that somebody has thoughts on that.
Yeah.
And if it can be incorporated into this project, it would make sense. If it's also something that says, hey, let's focus on the sala and the exterior, and we can revisit this, that's fine too. I think it was nice that it was voiced, and so go from there.
Yeah, okay, good. So, over to you then.
So this little presentation, it does include in here the overall plan. So kind of taking the drawings that we had priced out. I don't have them all in here. This has floor plans, demolition plan, reflected ceiling plans, some enlarged bar plans as well. And we don't need to get into all of that today, but it does have some things for reference in here. This is just an overall plan. I was not able to find that last locker room plan. I know that was brought up as could that meet some of our store's needs? All right. I'm glad you have it.
You can have it.
And
That's your package.
okay, great.
I put that by mistake.
Because it was brought up, and I don't want to just ignore any comments in there. Then this image here is our existing floor plan, so we can go back and forth if there's any questions about what we're moving, where things are going, how things flow and function from that standpoint. This is our proposed floor plan that was in the drawing package. There was an alternate floor plan, but the alternate floor plan really had to do with not enclosing the garden room and not opening doors out to the garden room. So these two, nothing really changes in terms of the bar, storage, seating layout, dividing walls, even the square footage on the patio space, new covered patio area, that didn't change, but it was basically just enclosing or not enclosing the garden room and providing bigger doors, more glass, more visibility, connection to that garden room enclosure. What you guys have in front of you is only the proposed plan. That was kind of like our base plan that we wanted to have priced out. So with this, I want to just walk through this plan just to bring everybody up to speed on where we're at and the thought process involved with that. I'll start with the main entrance through here. So coming in through the entrance, we were looking to get a storage door right here that could get back to this large storage area. Now I say large storage area, but we don't have that equipment yet for the bar. So there might be back in there some coolers, some liquor storage. But we felt that we were capturing the space of the rotunda that's in there, the storage area. Even though we were capturing that space, it was the access that we needed to get to it. So this was a large swinging door that we could bring in tables and chairs through here and get into this storage area. Turning right, we would come into the dining room, and that dining room would have a host station at this location here. Now that location, it could change and move up. It could go over to this side, it could go over to this side. That could also help some screening concerns that we had with server pickup location. We've also talked about maybe that's just not the right spot for a server pickup location, and we could centralize that spot for it. Coming into the dining room, we do have these two dividers, movable dividers in here. The thought with the movable dividers are that we know that at times the dining room has a lot of people in it. Not always, but it does have a lot of people in it at times. And where they're located now is underneath the existing soffit that's in there. They don't have to stay there. They could be moved around to do so. But just showing a separation that added more table seating to kind of the bar area versus the dining. And this could be moved over to here, reduce the seating for the bar area and maybe focused bar seating here and bar stool seating over in this location. But this is what could slide back and forth through here. The bar, we did end up with this L-shaped bar. The reason for that, we looked at a lot of different options of where it could go, simply staying in the La Sala. We weren't getting the capacity or the use of, or the gaining of 25 seats that we have in this plan, overall gain of 25 seats. And that bar ended up being this L shape because what we were hearing from the community is that we want a social environment in there, somehow connect the two rooms with this access point in between. The bar could then serve the dining. It can also serve the La Sala lounge. It could also serve outside. And then we did add this double door here that was more intended as a functional food service location. We talked about, do we have food service come down the main hallway here, or can we have it come around here and get out to the pool? With that, it's not that we were completely servicing the pool area, because I know the bar is out there. It's an access point for mainly food. It could bring people in from the pool area. It's not intended to be this massive, transportation path between in and out of the pool. It was mainly for service for dining and any food that would be going out there. The L-shaped bar, it does face towards dining, face towards the sala. There are some columns. We're gonna have to deal with some structural support from the mezzanine space above. And it does have access back in here, so you could get to the back of house storage for the bar. I mentioned this access from the front, primarily for tables and chairs going through that area. And then we're putting in a new stair access up to the mezzanine level. That stair would be more like a ship's ladder. It would be better than what's in there now, a ladder. It would not be a lift at this point to do that. We had kind of played around with, do we have a small like dumbwaiter lift and the access ladder. But this would be a steep ship's ladder going up, handrails on each side, but typical, I would say typical mechanical room access in there. Into the sala, this is where the existing bar is, removing that, making this a combination of lounge seating as well as table seating. We went back and forth with about showing too much lounge seating, because does that kind of deter people from more dining and beverage purchases? But we also wanted the space to be something that people felt comfortable going to, meeting with some friends, hanging out for an extended period of time. It's not always just for a dining space. All the furniture in there is somewhat flexible, but there was a lot of thought that went back and forth into the amount of tables we have, the amount of seating at each table, and the different types of seating that go through there. Moving out here to the garden room, these are those doors that I mentioned in here that we got the pricing for large pocket doors or semi-pocket doors, exterior pockets. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. So you can open them up for a clear view or clear connection to the garden room. This garden room was enclosed or is enclosed completely. So this would have a conditioned space all the way around. So this could be closed off and used as private dining, access through here, access outside through this way, access outside would be here, and then going through these double doors out to the screened patio space. Screened lanai, screened patio. Either way, it's a covered area to block out direct sunlight, to keep it as a comfortable space to be outside. You see there's column spacing around the outside. The intent on the pricing was that this is going to look like it's part of the building. It's actually a build structure and not a pool cage type element. I think we could explore that route if that's something we want to do, and do it as a more elevated pool structure with bigger beams in there, to making it look more substantial. This was designed to be a double loaded corridor, I call it. So you've got a walkway that comes through over to this area and back to the door. Double loaded being that you've got room for seating on both sides, table seating, lounge seating, whatever it might be. Discussions about pulling that back. Could we eliminate one side of this, and it would give us the space that we want out in that area. This also, these notes here note that these would be operable screens in the middle. So when we do want to connect out to the yard there, if there's an event, it can flow very easily in and out. But drop that screen down, keep the no seams out, plugs out, for that space to be somewhat enjoyable in the evenings.
May I ask a question about that, John? I assume that a ceiling like that would allow us, I'm talking about the outside covered area now, would allow us to have lights, fans, that sort of thing, and if we do a cage, it becomes more problematic, doesn't it?
A little bit, but that cage wouldn't be your typical pool cage. So for example, you've got your structure that is usually a frame structure, aluminum frame structure, only about 2 inches.
Yeah.
We'd be looking at something more like an 8-inch beam in there, and have it more elevated. I'll show some reference images that we're trying to push towards more of a Venetian or Palladian patio type design. I think the exploration of a pergola type structure that allowed light in was something we started to move away from, and said, if we can enclose this thing so we've got full coverage from sun and no impact and rain out there, yes, that screening on the outside would be preferred. And if that was a hard ceiling, exactly like you said, fans, lights out there, being able to control that atmosphere throughout the evenings.
So I have two questions, John. One, retractable screens. What do you mean by retractable?
Like they would be motorized screens that would go up and into, basically they would have a track on the side and they roll up.
Meaning a screen material or a solid material to block the sun?
It would be only for insect protection, really.
Then why would we ever, in my opinion, you would never want to retract those out there, because it's right. I would say they don't have to be retractable, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think that needs to happen.
Okay.
And my,
I agree, and there is a door anyway, right, so there's
There
an egress
is a door, there's a door over in this corner. And if these were solid here, maybe that
Yeah.
door is a double door and it comes right here, or a double door at the end of this area.
I think
Because
that's right.
If you don't have that large openness, right, I could see activities happening out here and you're going in and out. That double door and maybe not tucked in the corner would be a better use there.
so my other question would be, are there any areas of this that would need a other kind of screen, a sunblock kind of screen or a sunshade?
I feel comfortable that on this side, we wouldn't need the sunshade because we're mostly east facing over here. You get that morning sun, about 10 o'clock, you're past that point, where that sun rotation goes, to the west and south in there. So morning sunlight coming in, especially spring morning sunlight or winter sunlight, a nice space to be in. We also, we'll have a roof that's out to here. That sun angle, I don't remember exactly what the sun angle is off the top of my head, 72 degrees or 80 degrees or something. We're getting that morning sunlight, and then shortly after that, we're in shade.
My question is, between the garden room and the screen line, you have a solid wall. It would seem to me to make more sense to have doors there, so this way, if you want to have that open
The connection there.
yeah, if you want to have that one big open space, I mean, I understand the reason of keeping it conditioned if you want to extend the dining room,
Mm-hmm.
but on days that you want to have a bigger outside, Friday night party,
Connection.
you have to walk in one room, you have to walk out of the sala into, either you make the decision into the garden or to the screen area, and then if there's no, you gotta walk back around. I just think it'd be a little bit more social if the screen get opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other big comment is,
And I think that could impact some seating out here, but those doors don't always have to be open and not every seating can be moved. So if there were, doors that align with the doors that exist here or something.
it doesn't have to be every door,
It
it
could be-
doesn't have to be wide open,
Yeah.
but just some ability to get through. And then the other thing that now I really object to this is when you first come in the lobby, it was supposed to be, okay, you've not closed up that walkway.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was gonna be, okay, you're gonna put a nice TV screen or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm looking at a door.
Well, that door, the intent is to have that as a door that looks like a wall. And we did have notes on there to have that big screen right there.
There'll be-
Right now, there's a screen when you
Okay.
walk in, it's over to the left.
So the whole screen and wall would actually come open?
Yes, yes, yeah.
But I don't know if it's a screen.
And I could see that thing being almost like a living wall maybe around it. It could be faux plants around it. We've done living walls that, aren't really actual live plants and maintenance issues and stuff. But I see that being a rather large screen in a vertical format that you have out there now as well. And be able to post, events on there, but it could also be just a view of something. It could be photography of the club here. It could be of the river out back here, something that can be easily added and put on there. Not make it like a constant changing, but something very enjoyable and pleasing.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that this whole plan that really bothers me is losing that access, that straight access. And now, because every bar you go to, every restaurant you go to, the bar is always in the front. You see the bar immediately and then you see action.
Well,
No,
the challenge though is that it
No, I-
fundamentally changes everything. I appreciate all of your ideas on that. I think, because ultimately, don't we end up with about 40 square feet of storage more in this plan?
We do, there's stuff that we gained storage. The bar got twice as large, if not a little bit larger in terms of the stairs or the seats in there. And it was something that we battled. It was not just your opinion on that.
I get that. I just want to express it because
I do think like, one of your comments about the bar being at the front of a restaurant. You go in a lot of restaurants and there's the activity, you can't find a table yet, can I sit at the bar and wait, that kind of thing. I do feel like when you come into the dining room, you are coming into the bar. So
it's not the exact same feel as like seeing through like you guys do now and people walking past and the activity in there. It'll be a transition of, instead of going straight, we're now going into all of the social dining, social environment over there. That would lead into also more details on the bar, but having,
Do you want me to go through this?
I don't think that was me, was it? It could be. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
So, with the L-shaped bar, what we have here, and it's designed essentially for 2 bartenders. It could have 3 bartenders because of the length, but the idea being that you have a bartender over on this side and a bartender over on this side. We do have a spot at the end here for server pickup where if there was a large event and you're making a lot of drinks, not just at the bar there, they could be made in this back location over here. But that was what our goal was. We know we increase in the bar. You have a bartender with 20 people sitting there. One bartender will get customers who are waiting too long, and having a space for 2 bartenders is what we have. I mentioned this server pickup, and we did have a server pickup location here. You brought up a comment that if people are here standing and waiting, our server's coming over right to this location is kind of busy, active. I think it's going to be a little bit less active if we had chairs here, maybe people behind. But at the same time, like, it is the first thing you see as you walk in. And that usually that area is kind of a dump station sometimes. It might have cocktails ready to be picked up. We did kind of explore the idea of saying if we took these 2 and did a pickup location at this spot, more of a central location. That might be a section of the bar that's just a little bit higher, maybe like 2 or 3 inches more defined. It's almost like it keeps a separation of bar seating, pickup, and then bar seating all the way across here. It would be more central to get outside to the dining. It's a little bit further for the sala from here to here, but not that much further. And it would eliminate any of the server pickup in this location. I mentioned this host table too, being, or the host station, maybe that is right here at an angle. And part of that, the idea with that is that behind here is going to be your host in that area. And traffic is encouraged away from that space. So,
Yeah, so maybe 2 things, because that's what I like about the host station here, because if you're somebody who does want to go out into the dining room, there's sort of that avenue. And then secondly, the feedback I've gotten from our F&B supervisor is they really like the idea of the drink rails being moved more toward the nexus of the L, the sections of the L, because of what's behind the bar would work better for them, but also then the traffic can go out in 2 different directions.
I think you did mention that if you have a bartender here, their point of making, they're sharing the load on making drinks. They're going to one location to drop those off.
Exactly, the sharing load thing is huge, actually.
And now they're closer to this whole area.
Yes, getting outside, yeah.
So you lose a little from a salad, you gain it all.
Yep.
John, can you explain, so what's the current Casala, and is that a glass wall where the 2 tables are to the right as we're looking at of the large format tables?
Right here?
Is that, remind me, is that a glass?
So there's doors there, I believe there's doors there right now. And we wanted to infill that with glass to encourage traffic to go this way and
That's
not
glass,
cut
okay,
through.
I just couldn't remember.
Yeah. This path of travel in and out, so you're going in and out here, this way, and honestly, you'll come through here and go down this way to use the restroom, unless you use the locker rooms outside. But the traffic flow inside would be through here and down in that space.
John, I have another question about this. That whole section, we have the pocket doors proposed and then the closed wall on the outside. I don't necessarily understand why we would need both of those. If we're gonna put a wall on the outside, why do we need pocket doors on the inside?
Similar to the rooms that we're in right now and the other private rooms, is that would give us the flexibility that wanted to be another private dining area or an activity space that could be closed off and not.
I'm just thinking about expense. That's a lot of expense for that small
20.
area. And so the other thing I'm thinking is, do we need to wall off that area, or do we just use the pocket doors and that whole area is outside? Because if you look at the number of tables we've added in the bar area and the dining room, it's probably the same as what we have today. So do we just make that a bigger outside area and not have the expense of building that wall? I think it's something we need to think about.
So,
And I would like to know how much, as we look at pricing, how
Yeah.
much that is.
yeah, we have preliminary pricing on just the structure and the glass in there. And it wasn't cheap. I don't have it off the top of my head, but there is that document somewhere that can be shared.
And there's the walling up, but then there's the cost of, HVAC and all the.
Exactly, so it's kind of like, for that little area, do we need to really wall?
Yeah, it's a lot of expense for 24 seats.
And this alternate plan, it did show keeping these 3 doors here. It was a combination of keeping the doors and not doing the glass. We can always keep the doors and do the glass, so that could work as well. But I think to your point is that if this is all screened in here, and this is closed off, do we really need to
It's
to
kind of
change
like one
this?
or the other for me.
Mhm.
Is it possible to do the sliding doors between the dining and the garden room and then retrofit later, set it up later and come back if you want to then?
To do this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something, I think our last meeting we talked about, is there a phasing to the project? That could be done. It's kind of exterior work at that point. It wouldn't interrupt a lot of the activity inside, if at all, in terms of doing that work. But it could be one of those things that, down the line, hey, we're just out of conditioned space.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that plan. and
Because we don't, it's hard to say today what this place is gonna be 3-5 years from now and how it's gonna be utilized. And if the outdoor space is really nice with fans, more people may wanna be outside than
I
inside.
think, my personal view is that and I totally understand where you guys are coming from, is that if we were going to eliminate that wall between the flex room or the guard room and the outside, then I think we need a better roof structure, because I think one of the challenges of not having that flex space is this time of year when it's humid and it's hot, and at least if it's more of and I don't want you guys to think I'm pushing this, but Bahama bar type of thing where, you have airflow, so it's okay to be out there. I think that's something we would just want to be very careful of, because I do think there is some value in having space outside that is at least bearable when it's in the hot months.
If you keep the space and you just put the fans in, I mean.
But then we don't want, in my opinion,
Then
we
we
don't
need a
want
better
to
roof
pay.
structure.
Exactly.
Right. I would do a better roof structure before I did that wall. I'm a little concerned about the cost of it.
We should find out.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by better roof. I don't understand.
Well, like not having just a lanai
Rather than
cage
a
out there,
full
but
cage,
you
have
have
an
to
actual
have
roof.
a structure.
Okay.
Or something that fits with the style of the building.
Exactly.
I 100%, you know this, because you and I have talked about this, I'm 100% agreement with Ken on, the beauty of the building. It's a beautiful building.
I totally agree, and I think that should just, support that even
It
further.
needs to be Italian.
So you would make the supports for this, you would make the support structure for the columns comparable to the columns here?
They would be, yeah, very similar to it. There's options with that. Could we simplify it and not have the decorative columns or more square columns going down? Kind of like the openings on the tower out there, where you don't see the columns on the side, but you have some thicker trim and a base to it. That would be an option. The other thing with that structure is, as we play around with it, we've always thought about leaving this roof structure and support kind of in place. And then whatever we add on, we'd like to elevate it to get the height that we have in there, and not demo this out and build it all new all the way out. I think there's a way to maybe simplify it. Maybe we can get rid of some column spacing in here. Maybe get rid of that column and that column in there based on what we're opening up and what we can add on to the structure to meet that. But that space would also, we might have this conversation 15, 20 years from now and say, hey, we've got this beautiful outdoor space, but let's enclose it all. We put glass in the openings out here instead of doing this. I don't think we will do that, but you never know.
Let's see, what else? Do you have, because I think it's a little big thing, do you have any thoughts on the divider between the 7, I'll call them high tops, but the bar tables, and the main dining room? I can see both sides of the argument on, you don't want something that, you may not necessarily want something that cuts the space up and that you couldn't move, but you also don't want something that looks like it's, at the Elks Lodge. Is there, what are your thoughts on that?
I do have some imagery, and I think that's the time to move into that. It's set up, so we'll talk about the bar first. But with the dividers, though, it's a tricky one because you want them to look like they're intentional and that they're permanent in a way. At the same time, have the flexibility for the few times a year that you might need it. And that might increase too. If you do more larger events here, receptions or whatnot, those could be moving all the time. I've done these kind of dividers before with banquettes built on the back side. So, that could also serve as seating for the bar.
Right.
But if those are moved around, do we now have weird locations of banquettes sitting out there? So let me go through here.
And just one other comment. And I guess we talked about putting storage over here. So if we make this
Yes.
storage,
Yes. John's aware of that.
okay, yeah, so that then affects this table,
Bars have to stay.
that affects this table. And this table realistically is not functional. I mean, I would.
Well, the table placement is
That's
all
what I'm saying,
just.
that's what I'm saying. I think also, that was my point, to see a real legitimate table placement, because some of these things are too close to the wall. There's a lot of space here, these are real close here, just to make sure we have the right table count, so we know exactly how many people we're gonna get.
Okay.
Because what's gonna happen is, yeah, it's great to have these 2 rooms here, but if we have meetings here and then have that dinner, have meetings and dinner, I just wanna make sure that we're not sacrificing too much space and creating too much of a cost, the little thing.
And then can you also, are these high tops in the bar?
I think the high tops would look great in the bar. It would have that bar atmosphere in there. It could be a combination that there's, three high tops and then table seating there.
Given our community, it's more casual, but I can tell you the number of people who shy away from those because they don't want to climb up on them.
Yeah, getting up and down
The
in there.
main point. So it's kind of like, I don't want to have too many high tops and people go, where's the low chairs?
Yeah, I think the low chairs too would make sense, because if we do move this divider to here, then these tables don't have to be taken down and new tables brought out. They can just match the rest of the dining that's over on this side.
Yeah, and this
so I
is,
think
and,
there'd be flexibility.
since we're sort of on this part of it, at what point in the overall process does the board get involved in saying, this is the kind of tables and chairs we want? Is it March of next year for, is it 60 days before demolition, or when do we actually do that?
I think conceptually, it can be early on, especially when we're developing the FF&E budget.
Okay.
It could be, what size tables, chairs, those different things. The purchase of those needs to be, I would say, at least 90 days. I would, 180 days would be great to have that nailed down, because hospitality furniture is one of those kind of weird things where you might get them quickly, but most likely you won't.
Gotta come through the tunnel.
Yeah. I will say that these tables here, those are the 2 that we did talk about, those being a little bit higher, communal tables, having that kind of bar feel in there. They're more central. It's a bigger group that would be sitting there, not just 2 to 3 people or 4 people sitting down, but a larger group. Again, that could change. If that's not the desired feel in there.
We have time,
They
in
have
other
to
words,
be
we have time to
conscious.
make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So you were gonna hear some ideas on.
Yep, I'm gonna sit down here. I think I can talk from this
Because I think
location.
that's one of those little big things, right, that I'd love to see us get that right.
So-
Oh.
So I'm gonna go through just some inspiration images, and please keep in mind that this is more of a focus on color and mood, not on all the detailing that's in there, the expensive light fixtures, the amount of cushioned seating versus hard seating in here, but more along the, like I said, the mood and the feel of this. This is where we start to talk about what do we want it to look like. I can head down one direction that I like, or that I would recommend, but we need to get a kind of general consensus that we're heading in the right direction. So this palette here is a lighter palette. We'll say the lighter palette because there's a light, dark, and color, or subtle color. You're seeing some greenery brought in here, so a little bit of that natural environment in there. I do think that the Sala Lounge, the way it's rounded with the small windows, you kind of lose the fact that you're right next to the Ryan Reserve.
Yeah.
So maybe bringing some of that in. Again, that's epiphany. That's
I'm wondering if
small
I can
decorations.
take a picture of that and text it to Ken for you.
I could also send you this PDF.
Okay.
if you want,
I
but,
can right now.
So you also see the lighter wood tones, the lighter fabrics in here. There's don't get hung up on it, carpet on some areas, wood floors, tiles, that kind of thing. But just kind of the general mood. It has more of a soft Mediterranean, coastal, maybe Venetian type feel to it, but also a little bit on the casual side, a little bit informal. But as the bar and what we've heard from other people about that, we want it to be an environment that has some music and is a little bit more lively and maybe casual. That's what you're seeing in here.
Very inviting.
So this has a darker feel to it, a little bit more sophisticated. Obviously, you see the dark base around the bar, a lighter tops on the bar in here. The accent colors of either rose gold or brass or something could be something that comes off and is strong, playing off some of the elements that are already around the club in general in here. But this does have a kind of a more moody feel to it. You can immediately feel like this is light and airy, and now it kind of got dark lounge type feel. Again, I'm looking for your kind of knee-jerk reactions or feelings. Like, is this something that the community would like, embrace? I don't think any one of these is a bad choice. I think they all look beautiful in their own way, and I could be open to either one. But you lose some of that lighter wood tones in here, blending the contrast of the lighter plaster colors with the dark shade. And then this last one is just bringing in a touch of color. You can see here there's different colors in here, salmon on the right to green on the left, and this kind of multicolored palette in the middle here. But it does, all of a sudden it feels a lot more tropical than the first two. And when I do drive through the community and the Venetian River Club, you do have that Venetian feel and that pop of color that inspires life and enjoyment and excitement. I think if we looked at the other two options and you said, hey, I like kind of the darker feel, but just a touch of color would be nice. That's fine. I always encourage color too. Could be a pink color. It's expensive to replace carpet and tile's not cheap. And if you go with a bold move on that, it's a little harder to swallow in 5 years if it's not popular. These are also pushing towards more of a really classic look. I don't think any of these are trendy in here. I think you can look at all of them and see, yeah, that could be a timeless look. There's going to be a renovation that's going to happen at some point, but I don't think the renovation would happen because it went out of step. Is what we choose here. So I guess I could go through, or do we want to stop and talk about the bar? Any thoughts, feedback on it?
I don't like the dark one personally.
don't
I
either.
like either the lighter one, I actually love the color one, but the lighter one would be fine too, but the dark one, we're trying to make it look bigger, I don't want to make it look smaller.
I would take the white one and add some color, the first one.
Okay.
And pop some
That's a
color
great
to it.
idea.
Okay.
Just this way, this way, and maybe accent pillow, a wall and accent pillows and stuff like that. Maybe,
It's just so inviting, and
Yeah.
what's always struck me, at least for my husband and me, is we bought because of that. That's outside the window, and, it just is light and inviting and casual, but not shabby. It's,
and I think the problem with the dining room, it was too dark, too heavy, too nursing home-ish type of, and yes, that's my opinion. Obviously, everybody's got their opinion, and doesn't make them morally right.
this has natural elements, which to me ties into what's there.
Yeah, and if we keep it light, keep it airy, I think it's more inviting, and it's a more vibrant feel to it. I was gonna say younger, but it's just more vibrant. It's not as, I mean, the other, the dark wood one, I mean, yeah, if you're going to Capitol Grill or Hyatt Steakhouse in New York City, that's
It's
the
very
look.
Chicago almost.
Yes.
Yes.
Or Post House Manhattan or something like that, yeah. But,
It's so natural.
Okay.
It's a naturalness to it.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, now that we go, ooh.
So these next two slides, just look at some inspiration for the divider in there. And the purpose of showing you this is kind of a couple of things. Flexibility on what this thing could look like in terms of the divider, the amount of dividing we actually do here. So openness or in those dividers, or is there a different material? The image on the left is very wide open. We've done this before with custom laser cut, patterns in there. We've also done stock patterns that you can buy, let's say 2 foot by 4 foot sections of stock patterns, and be creative with that, and very cost-effective solution with it. The two in the middle, the upper one, it's solid, but there's some backlighting in there. It goes floor to ceiling. The three on the left are all floor to ceiling. The one on the right, it suggests floor to ceiling because it attaches to the top, but it is more open in there. Very organic with the materials or the patterning in there. I think that can tie into our bar, the palette that's in it. And then the one in the middle I thought was interesting because it had a combination, even though it looks like it is a wall there, and it's got some vertical dividers on the left there. I do think the divider might have some solids in it. It's a proportion that we can find where it's movable and does have solid, but also some transparency.
what's the sense of having a divider if you can see through it and hear through it? I mean, it just seems, it's not gonna really block out any sound, and it's not gonna block out any visual. It's just creating a divider, utilizing space between the two rooms
Yes, I agree. And until you close it off completely with the door, sound's gonna find a way. It is what it is.
and you can see through it too.
And you can see through it. So if we did say,
Well, but
I don't wanna see through
That's
it,
creating a blockage and a separation, but it still allows you the flexibility of moving them so you can add tables. Look, think of all the events that we sell out. We need that main dining space for. That's one of my concerns.
So if we look at the one like top middle, I like that one because it's a little heavier when on a day-to-day, but is that movable?
in this image, no, it's not. But what I'm looking for is if you said, I really like that, but make it movable. That would be
I
my
like a little
challenge.
bit more, it's a little more solid and, more of a
Because,
separation, more of a
Because
separation.
if somebody's having a big rousing party at the bar,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and I
more
want to sit and have dinner quietly, and I'm sitting at the table right up, if these guys are drunk and I'm sitting here,
Mhm.
Well, but this is one of the reasons, one of the beauties, I think, and we talked about this extensively, is that we have this room and we have that
But
room. And so,
we're not, we don't always use these rooms.
no, I know, but I think the point is flexibility. And look, I don't mean it in any way to disagree with you, because I think, I can see both sides of it. I know Ken refers to the one up at Madison's, which is not at all in any way a sound divider. It's almost like laser cut from these pieces of plastic, but it creates a feeling that you're not sitting on top of the people in the bar, even though you can hear them. There's a mental separation.
No, really cool. Okay, this is just me being weird.
Please.
If you took those two dividers, if they were more solid, maybe even more solid than that, but they turned on the outsides and you could open them to open up the dining room, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like think of it like a door, like
90
these
degrees
come out, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I do show just 2 dividers, but there's nothing to say that those can't be 4 or 5
And they
dividers.
become a
And
flow
maybe,
versus a block.
even if they were
Exactly, they're
angled just
blocked
a
when
little
you
bit.
need it, but then you could turn them to make the
I
whole
think it's a
room
great
work.
idea.
I mean, I'm thinking.
That way you don't have to move the whole structure.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I can just see disasters there.
Yeah, where do you put it?
Yeah, and that's, that too, exactly, yeah.
Because really, when you look at, for example, whether the one on the left or the one in the top middle, the concept could be, because we've already got the soffit there, if there's a pivot point.
If it goes up high enough to that soffit where your eye just doesn't extend up, I think it'll look more like it's built in there. And if it has a heavier base on it, we know we're gonna have a heavy base so it stays up in place. But it could help with it, the shape of it or the rotation. Maybe we have a way to stabilize it a little bit more.
Well, if you get some, or even get something like that and have plastic, loose set or something laminated between, so it still gives you the illusion of
The
open,
vision,
gives you the
yeah.
illusion of open,
Right.
but it helps block out some of the noise. I'm just trying to make sure that, we're looking at this whole thing, that we're not creating a problem by having such a great, if the bar becomes so popular that nobody wants to eat at the dining room because it's just too noisy. So I don't want to be chasing people away.
I think too that those material choices within there, like if we use a fabric or sound absorbing material, the glass would just bounce noise off. And I love that you guys have carpet in here, because that's your number one best sound absorption is the carpet. You do tablecloths in there. It's not going to be always that way, but that absorbs as well. But we could introduce some elements in here that we're trying to get the best out of it. It doesn't just look good, but it functions for us too. These also are just introducing some plants. I know you have the plant dividers already. You did? Okay.
They're in the dumpster now.
So the tricky part about the plantings is that if they're live, they're a maintenance issue. If they're faux, I think they can still have a nice look to it and feel. We get some mileage out of it, because bringing a little bit of Atlantic Reserve in here, that wouldn't be too bad.
They've got some nice folk plants.
But that would have to, I think, blend with some of these concepts too. The one in the bottom middle there, it's showing a planter at the base. It's now not usable space, so maybe that could narrow up in here and stay with the width that's shown in the plan. I think I have 2 feet wide. Yeah, they're 2 feet by 12 feet. So maybe that's a series of 4 2-foot by 6-foot planters that do have the flexibility to move. This one in the middle is actually, that's a pre-finished panel. So you just see the same 4-foot by 4-foot panel done over and over and over. And I do like the organic nature of a lot of these screens. I think you guys do too. And the story that it could tell with it. If we were on Venice Beach, that might work out well, because it kind of looks like shark teeth. It suggests like the invert of the dark shark teeth that you would see, versus some of these other ones have more of a leaf pattern or tree pattern in there. I don't want to get too far very literal with it, but the suggestion and the feel would be good.
John, I don't mean to derail this, but at what point, I'm just thinking in my mind, I think it will help the residents to I mean, they'll be able to look at this online, but at what point, typically in your experience, do you start to introduce this to a broader audience of constituents and you don't want people voting on it, but it's also inspirational. So I'm just curious how you think about that.
Yeah, so I typically will, the inspiration images, that can go too far, even asking clients for inspiration images, they can start sending hundreds of photos. I'm like, I need 3, that's all I need, like, and usually I could tell, even with the 3 lighter at the bar, you make comments about the light and air, the touch of color. I can sense where this is headed on that. In terms of the next phase of the imagery, a lot of times that's done at a community presentation. Kind of this is where we've gotten to. I can also what I've used in the past is the level of rendering and style of rendering. So if we get too literal, AI is wonderful because you get like it looks so photorealistic, and then people will be like, I don't really like those tablecloths. Like we're not here to talk about the tablecloths. We're here to talk about the space. Versus more of a sketch or watercolor type rendering. Right. It's hard to find that balance in between there to make it look good and real. But that's one thing that you can do. The presentation is also, this isn't the final, this isn't exactly what we're doing. But when we get to that phase with the material selections and material boards, I'd like to have 2 material boards set up so you see all the materials and people can come and feel like, okay, that's the carpet we're using. This is the tile on the back bar, the front bar, the bar top, accent colors and images of accent lighting that we have. That would be more refined. That's like, we're at the point of we've selected a weekend collection. Does that answer your question?
I think it does, because it's a tough one especially for us, that we don't want to go too far. We have to keep control of the process.
Premature to do that.
No, I was just curious at way too premature, but I was just curious kind of what the.
I think over the course of our next 2 or 3 meetings where we do look at what does the bar look like, the bar, you guys will get a comfort level to share this with the group, or share with the community on the website, whatever.
Well, we can look online and see.
Yeah, and I've worked with many church projects are very similar to this in terms of a large congregation with a small group that's been tasked with designing something, and you get every feedback in there, right? But it's the trust that these are the people that we put in place to make the decisions, to listen to us, and move forward. So that's I've seen it.
No, that helps me. Thank you.
Okay. These last 2 slides here, it's somewhat tricky because you have a beautiful building already. And we know that this extension of the patio, we want to embrace what's here and build upon the architecture and the style that's here. These images, all 3 showing the arches. The things I liked about the 2 on the outside is you have an overhang, and you have this kind of dental detailing that wraps around. That's something that's not really everywhere on the building, especially on the back here. You have a face that goes up and very nice accent detailing on it. So I could see something like this playing into the architecture outside. Obviously the arches, you see the arches on the left in the middle, those little square columns coming down, right? Versus what you guys have right now out here with the round columns. So I think we can blend that. I would prefer to go with the square. I think it gives you a little bit more flexibility, especially with screening it. It's really tricky to screen this. You have to screen inside or outside, and then it's never a great solution there. Those retractable screens in the middle, that's what I was talking about before, is that, they would drop down on a track and come back up. I think I could see there's times of the year that it might be an advantage, but it might be a handful of times all year.
With the mosquitoes.
And it's so close to the preserve.
Yeah.
And then you talk about a whole bunch of people at night turning on the lights and all the bugs would just
Right.
Or CMs are just gonna come.
Or you're gonna put them up and then find out the mud daubers have made homes.
Oh, no, yeah.
Tracks, you
And
know.
then-
I think
and then-
solid and less expensive.
I agree.
And then all the bugs come in and you close it, and now
Right.
how do you get rid of all the bugs?
Are we really easy?
So far it's been pretty good, yeah.
And don't forget about the locker room renovation.
Yeah, to talk about that, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying as this thing gets,
And then this
It should
was,
be thought
this
about.
was if we did explore doing a very modest version of screening in. Obviously, you don't have the covering up above. You could put a solid roof on that. But it would look a little bit more, not as elegant as the hard structure in there. The image on the left, that's more of a custom greenhouse or solarium. And it has some really great detailing. That detailing, it's tricky because it doesn't really match here. In a way it does, but you have to really embrace history and, the phases of history, European history and stuff. Yeah. And then this last one here, is, not as much considering what the outside looks like, but the kind of general feel. And again, you can look at the plantings on the ceiling and the furniture in here, the plantings on the ground, that's all FFE, that's all additive stuff that can make it even better. I do like having that wood beam on the ceiling in there. I think there's ways we can do that too with stucco. I think there's ways even without here, a stucco finish. The stuff that people can do with stucco now is amazing. But even if it looked like a faux beam in there, but adding that a little bit of warmth out there, I think bringing that, the bar that we look at, light and airy, outside, warm, comfortable, I think that's something that we can try to push towards with this. Light fixtures, are hanging down, we'll get into selections and things like that, but I think the overall feel and mood, all these spaces sitting outside, looking out into the natural landscape. The middle one's gonna be your closest one because you've got the preserve there, but if we wanna plant a vineyard, maybe we do that. Nothing with seating in here, obviously the one on the left is just a covered porch. Now, but you can see with this that it's correct, period correct, and architectural stylistically correct, and it's a downplayed version of the porch on the left. It's very classic in terms of the styling with it, but I think we're going to be headed more towards a substantial structure, more towards looking at something that embraces the building that's here, and encourages that. That's what I brought today.
Very, very cool.
And I think I do have good direction on this in terms of what you guys gave me feedback. I think if I can go back to the floor plan just to kind of finalize a few things.
Yeah.
So when I get into modeling and rendering, if you say, hey, John, we want to see it with the doors open, the big glass doors, or, how it is existing, I'm going to start with the existing. So I am going to show the 3 double doors that are out here, that those are going to remain for right now. What happens inside with enclosing the garden room or opening the garden room, there's still a little bit in design, but if we have a firm thought on that, if you guys say, let's not enclose it right now, let's screen the whole area so it's all usable, and maybe look at that and consider them in
You'd like to hear
different
from us now.
Yeah, that would be great to hear.
That would be my preference, to not enclose it and make it a big screened area for now, especially if we can add that later, because that's gonna be expensive. We're gonna put a wall there. That's gonna be.
And you don't know what you're gonna be until you grow up. So
Right.
we don't know how it's gonna get used.
Right, and then if we get a lot of use outside space, we don't need the wall. Plus, it's kind of really choppy to me if we put the wall back there. We got the inside, we got doors to a little outside, then we got more outside.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, what do you think?
And you might get one without the wall there, you might have to be able to get a few more tables for people access throughout there, possible.
Ken?
Yeah, it also retains the architectural structure of the building. That's a lot of outdoor space that will get limited use. Let's keep in mind how many months out of the year people actually want to dine outside. And basically the two shoulder months. July, the summer, and
No, I like,
You get space heaters
no,
out
I
there?
like dining outside.
You get some space heaters out there, except for January and
There
February.
has to have a good fan.
Yeah, well, and what I would say too, go ahead, sorry, go ahead, Ken.
no, I hear you say that, in practicality. I'm just not sure. I'm absolutely fine with everything you're doing in the bar area and all that. I would like to see a more flexible divider. I think as Cheryl said, maybe something that can swivel.
Yeah.
Or the Madison 41 dividers, I think work fine. Even though you can hear and, you don't see through them that much. You don't hear that much, but they're surprisingly a good divider, which would be very inexpensive. The closed and making that garden room is several $100,000. And that's something to consider. So either putting the whole thing outdoors or phasing it in. So we have what's the current garden room, there's your outdoor dining and screening that and leaving the further area as a second phase. If you get enough usage of outdoor dining, something to consider.
So you screen, what, but Ken, all you do, if you do that, you're only screening in for, you've got screening for 24 people. And then if you want, and then if it's successful, then you gotta rip all the screens out and do it all over again.
Because what I was gonna say is, I think, when I think about, the number of people who are out at the tiki bar, who want to have a drink or whatever, I think that as much as I understand the need for the flexibility of, the garden room per se, I think that if we create a space that is delineated by, removing the wall where the flex room is, and then you have a roof over that space, I think you're gonna transform where people will want to be when it comes to being outside, so that at 5:15 or 5:30, when bugs start to come out, people start to gravitate over here, and I think it will become a
Or in
destination, which it will not be.
the summertime, you're not sitting in the
Because
sun.
I can
I
tell
know
you,
down here's the bugs.
yeah,
But it's nice out there, and it's shady.
and Tom and I won't come over here because he literally can't sit in the sun, so, it's not hugely inviting like this, we kind of don't come because, so my personal feeling is,
Now, if we don't enclose that wall, I mean, do we have to change the roof line? I mean, can we keep the existing roof?
Well, if we consider, there's also some comments about, the size of that, patio area. And I mentioned before the double corridor, double loaded corridor.
Right.
If we bring that in, I want to look at it a little bit deeper from the exterior. I think it might look funny if it's too big and it looks more like an add-on instead of getting it right in there, but that would be helpful to know, like, do we have the right amount of space out there? Is it a little bit too big? Are we encroaching too much into the lawn? Don't necessarily need that answer completely right now, but I could see that being reduced to, like, one side has 4 top tables on it and the other side has 2 tops. So do we bring that in 6 feet? And that's a little bit more comfortable.
So right now, if you look at the pavers out here,
Mm-hmm.
it almost looks like where the pavers are is kind of where you're saying you should put the screen.
That would be correct. That would be about 6 feet in.
So that actually, I mean, I think doing that
no, it's nice actually.
to where the pavers are already,
Yeah.
and then extending the roof line. And not putting it, that makes the other wall even less attractive to me because it's too chopped up.
Yep, yep.
So I still don't understand why we're extending the roof line.
Because you can't put a fan on.
Well, we need to have something over it when it rains. My opinion, that's gonna transform this.
Wait, you want to cover the whole caged
Yes.
area?
Yeah.
Because you have to have fans, you have to have.
I thought we were just gonna do, I didn't realize
That's what I would do.
I think that's good.
It's gonna make the main dining room very dark.
Yes, and it's also gonna make it very, by having,
But you put out in the main dining room at night anyway, what's the difference?
I was just figure out how to do some more supportive cage or structure and hang fast from that as opposed to doing the whole roof line.
Can you do the alternatives for us to see, like what it would look like with a cage with bigger beams where we could hang fans?
Yeah,
And the cost of that versus the cost of extending the roof?
yeah, I could do that.
Right.
It's also, you start putting the top on it, you start getting less airflow.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I guess if you were gonna do that, I don't know if we still do it, because I haven't worked in Manhattan for a long time, but in the rink at Rockefeller Center, what they would do in the summer, when the rink wasn't there, is they would get large market umbrellas that were square, that just met. It's very much like the outside, they just met, so you have screen for the sun or rain, it's just, you might get a little bit wet, but, so that's, I guess,
Yeah.
we were gonna go that route.
Could you do a retractable, screen from the roof line to the edge of the cage?
That could go out on there.
You don't mean a screen, you mean a
I
cover.
mean a cover, I mean a
Cover.
Put on it.
So we got pricing from a company that builds them the whole package, and they do it all, and they can do retractable, they can do operable, that they kind of overlap and they open up and they close and they protect. That was really our most expensive option in there.
Oh, it was like $400,000.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But it did start us thinking about more of like a larger beam structure, like these look more like heavy timbers out there. We won't be using heavy timbers because the environment will just wreak havoc on that. But if they were clad or aluminum and made to look at like this, I think something like that could work. I think seeing it visually, like is it too strong of an element based on what's there already? And how do we tie in? It's a real tricky corner to tie in over here.
Yeah.
I think we might be turning or chopping the corner of that plan a little bit, so we come in perpendicular with this section of wall here versus that other side. But we might look at it and say, nope, that's not what we're going to go for. Let's refine it a little bit more or cut back.
It also doesn't mean that we can't, put a patio that's not covered outside, down the road. To get a little bit more outdoor space, just give it the screen, but, so I think we've we've given John direction on the garden / flex room.
Yeah, square footage wise, that space being open, keep the doors for right now. We can consider showing it or looking at what that looks like, but it doesn't sound like it's necessary to spend all that money to do that. We talked about the server pickup location, redoing that, dividers, and kind of explaining that entry part. I will show what that entry would look like if you were walking in the front doors and staring at that door in there, the door, the screen. I do want to make sure you guys have a visual on that. What's the expectation when I walk in? How do we wow people?
Yeah, and if we put a reception desk there, it kind of.
So if we want to approach the foyer comments, because that's,
What were the floor comments?
So Cindy thought it was worth considering, rather than looking at the reception desk when you come in on the right, which kind of can cause a traffic jam, that you should see the person greeting people straight ahead. And I understand her point, but there are a lot of logistical issues, including they do a lot of copying and computer work. It's actually the labor, it's a fairly.
I would not want that visual. When you first come in to see an office. It's nice having a little service, it's not a little does, and then, if anything, they should actually get some screening inside there, so, it kind of hides the back
back of the house stuff in that office.
I do feel like the location of that office and the function of it, I would put it there originally because you have a visual to people who are pulling up. If you have to, watch them come in, you can see out that window. And there's a function to that space. If it was more central, tucked behind the bar, it is kind of tough, like how do I get out and make this all look good? Really, I'd want to take the electric room and make that part of the office, but we're not going to move the electric room. Now, I think also though, because we're closing off that view into La Sala, I do think that experience when you walk in might be a little bit less distracting or drawing yet, where you're entering a kind of central place, and you walk in and there's usually somebody sitting there waiting. The other thing is the columns that I know she had mentioned, like maybe taking out the column. It's tough. Those columns in the main area are so decorative, the spiral columns that are in there. The corridor is a little bit easier to solve, but you do have those niches, the art niches in there. This could be something that is a phased project too. And maybe it's tied into locker room and office type stuff.
I really like it like this. I would have a gym. Because if I come in the front door, I could either be going to the gym and I don't want to see people at the front. Or now I can't really because they're calling to you. Like really, I get distracted. So, or if I go right, then I actually immediately see the bar and the dining room. I actually really like how this isn't a TV screen straight ahead.
Anything else?
So what do we expect next? What's next?
So our next meeting will be a design review meeting, and it could be in person, it could be, I think they're all gonna be in person meetings, I think everybody's here. But what we'll look at is more of our visuals, our kind of first take visuals on exactly what we talked about, the front entry, the bar, the sala. I'm able to basically model the whole space, minus like the private dining, far into the dining, kitchen, and stuff like that. I'm not really worried about that because we're not going to change it. But in terms of what our ceiling heights in here, the soffit around the bar, what the bar materials and look and feel is going to be like in there, and then also the exterior. In there. We might want to break it up to 2 meetings, but based on today, we went through it pretty well. So I think just cover it one piece at a time. And that first meeting, it's not a final in there, and there'll be things that you guys like or don't like, and how we refine it, get down to the plan and the design that we're looking for. The goal of the preliminary design phase, even though we had a concept phase that we went through, and we've got some drawings here pretty detailed about for pricing, but we're basically going to be looking at visuals and floor plan for this preliminary design phase that we're good. Now package that into a hard pricing set of documents. I'll also then work with engineers in some capacity to make sure our pricing documents are a little bit more accurate. They don't have to be full-blown construction documents, all calculations for equipment and things like that. But there'll be a little bit of interaction with engineers when we do pricing.
And then, I think that you and Bob and I talked about, I think we need to, execute an agreement of some kind.
I did send Bob, a proposal, a more formal proposal, on Friday. And I told him, look through it, if you have any questions or how we need to adjust things in here. It did include what you guys have already paid for in terms of the concept. I said that's part of the total in there. There are some allowances for engineering. We don't know exactly what we're gonna have in terms of the equipment. We're not enclosing that space outside. We don't have any HVAC work in there, additional units and things. So that's a large scope of mechanical, in my opinion. The bar stuff is, quite frankly, we're gonna be relocating ductwork and diffusers and things like that. We've got bar plumbing and power, but it's all going back to the same location. saving her electric and not bringing in new service or anything.
And then that must shorten up, because in my head, I'm thinking, how do I do that? Because I'm so, OCD that way.
Yeah, if you're not going into the roof.
It's probably,
that really dramatically saves a lot of time.
saves some time, which is money for
Yeah.
us. Time
Well,
is
it's,
money.
well, it's also, you save
Yeah,
money,
time is
time is
money.
money, but you also save
Right,
money.
money and money,
Yeah.
yeah.
And a more, in a more realistic, we make this more palatable, it will be for the residents and easier to then subsidize or pay for with the reserve monies and cash flow.
So then, is there an interest of time and Ken's,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
oh, yeah, okay. That, so our next meeting is on the 27th, it's a workshop, and one of our real areas is working on fitness fees, but I think, if we can go through that, and then we have John come, I think, I don't have a ton of stuff on that, which I imagine we won't. We have John come at 11 again, are you available on the 27th?
On the 27th,
It's a Monday.
I believe I am. But I can double check.
Okay, let me check, I've got something important.
Okay.
Terry and I have decided we're going to be moving.
Okay.
So it's 13 months from now, we're first building. But because I know I am no longer going to be living here long term, I don't feel it's right that I sit here and make decisions for the community, especially financial ones and operational, for things that I won't be responsible for in the long term. So effectively now, or today, I'm going to resign.
Okay. Effective immediately.
Yeah. I just don't feel, I mean, if you notice that I was trying to push off everything how do I sit and say, okay, I'm gonna spend $200,000 for landscaping? And I just don't feel, and especially as we're going through the solid conversations, it's gonna be difficult enough for the board to start justifying it. Oh, but he's leaving, and what does he care? He's approving, he doesn't care, he's spending our money. So I'm doing it for the board, I'm doing it for the residents, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. Because I don't want anybody on the board to have stuff, well, he's, he's not living by what he's voting for, so I guess you guys don't need that. So I appreciate all the time here.
Well, thank you for everything.
And everything, and I've got a letter, I'm gonna give you a resignation letter.
And there's
But
probably some, is that what, so logistically, is that what's needed is?
Well, thank you for your service, Rich,
Yeah.
but the board would need to accept your resignation at this time via motion.
Okay.
First question I have for you though, what's left? Because we won't have quorum.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah,
This is it.
well, I'm gonna effective after the meeting is over. So,
We knew we had a 12:30 stop, and I thought we'd go right to the end with the architect, so.
So after the meeting is over, effective after the meeting, so.
Yeah.
Then we need a motion.
Then 6 supervisor requests or comments first, and then we can accept Rich.
I've said everything.
Also, in my comment, so I had mentioned in the workshop, but also I'm gonna leave that I think we really need to have better supervisory aspect of some of the financial stuff. I know you didn't want to be digging into stuff, but things that I found also along the way, we have our bank recs were never reconciled for 3 years, 4 years. We had open items for 4 years on our bank recs, and our accounting firm did not pick them up. So we're not getting the level of oversight or compliance that we need, or a review of our financials, because we had all the issues with Vesta, 4 years of bank recs we missed. And not to say Hampton is in any way shape Vesta, but they forgot to start implementing the credit card fees. I saw that they weren't charging for events when I first came in. So if nobody's here looking at the store, until the new manager and everybody really gets running, I really implore the committee to really do what I did And then also on the legal side, if you guys want me to, I'll be more than happy to continue working with Andy. That's definitely your decision, but if you do that, I still need access to journalists and I still need a CDD email account. Because if you get rid of my account, all of my emails that I have between Julie and Vesta and Dan and this
Well,
and
they
that
don't go
and that
away,
information.
they're preserved.
I know, but if I don't have access
But you
to it,
won't
then
have
I can't
access,
see it.
so can we make him like an ad hoc task force of one to work with Andy on the lawsuit?
I think we can. Typically, we don't reassign the email until the seat is filled, but I think we can.
So
It's
I,
kind of a special status
Yeah.
until.
so I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay.
And what I said before, the good thing is now with me off the board, I can sit down and talk to you about everything and show you what I got.
Which I think we'll need to do, because there's so much that I
Yes,
think
there's a lot going on, yes, so I can help.
Because we need to talk, for example, about, you have a liaison. Well, you've just had a facilities meeting.
Yes, yes.
So we can figure out what to do. So you need a motion. I guess I'm just looking at the clock for Ken. So I guess I'll make the motion that we accept.
Well, do you have any supervisor requests or comments?
I don't have any.
No, I kind of got all my yayos out, because I thought we were gonna go right to the end with.
Okay, so we would need a motion to accept Rachel's resignation effective today.
Okay, so I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Do I need
the motion?
Motion by Jill, second by Cheryl.
Accept Rich's resignation.
All those in favor,
Okay,
please state aye.
thank you for all your service.
Mike, thank you, Ken, appreciate that, thank you.
We're not
And
done
good luck
yet,
with- yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, I'm not done, I'm, like I said, I got 13 months to be here, so if you need me for anything, and whoever you decide to bring into this, I can sit, obviously, I can't talk to you, I can then get
And now,
whoever you then bring in, I can then sit down with them and get them up to speed about anything and everything that I've gotten.
yeah, so you need a vote.
All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
There being no further business to discuss, is there a motion to
I guess I can
adjourn?
vote aye. Vote for the-
Thank you for everything, though,
No, my
seriously.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. We don't have one.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please state aye.
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 All right, meeting adjourned at 12:26 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John, that was
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Thank you.
Jamie is still on or not. Hey, Jamie.
Thanks. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Ken.
Bye,
All right,
Ken.
drive careful.